Somehow my actual car is in that intro stuck on the 101 because there were protesters protesting Palestinian salami or something. I'm not sure of that particular day, but that has miraculously been captured in the intro somehow. Anyway, welcome to the third show we've ever done in the history of the show. I don't know how the other two came together. It was mostly carried by those two guys who knew what they were doing. Now I'm left with just myself and some old friend who doesn't know anything. I don't know anything. Hopefully we'll get through this together. Technically, I don't know how to operate anything, as you're well aware. But one thing I did want to do was talk to you about subscribing to the show. I know this sounds premature because you haven't even watched the episode and you're thinking, I'll subscribe at the end if I feel like it, you fat bastard. But if you subscribe now, you could enter into a contest. Look what Tom did. Tom McCulloch, who is a mensch, actually stepped up and said he liked it and subscribed it. Now, YouTube takes all these metrics, puts it into some sort of algorithmic stew, and then your code number comes out on the other end, and they consider your show a success or not a success. This particular new channel, like I said, it's not going to be political. It's going to be about pop culture. It's going to be about, people in show business, people in Hollywood, people who are writers. I subbed before the first show. Ohio Pat getting in before the buzzer. Thanks a lot, Pat. A lot of you people obviously come from other channels far, far away, like America's Untold Stories, or even Viva's channel, or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, currently known as X. It's been a rough week. We're not going to go into any of that shit. This is a safe space, as the kids say. You could do whatever you want here. Just don't bring it in here. This is going to be just comedy, show business, literature, movies, and a bunch of friends who are going to hate me for ever putting them on this stupid show. But that being said, this is a trigger warning for the people who are on the spectrum. Alert. There will be interruptions of the guests during the show, because the dialogue, as Robert Altman found out when he started to direct movies, to the complete hatred of Paramount Pictures, he had overlapping dialogue and was kicked out of the editing room, and I think it was sealed by a guard taking away his first picture because Robert Altman, decided to invent overlapping dialogue, which he felt was much more realistic. And in fact, that's what I've always done in every interview. They're not really interviews, they're conversations. So I do interrupt, and it's for brevity, it's for explanation, it's to get the guy on to the next subject. It's more natural. That's how, maybe not with women. Okay, this is what I've learned from different studies. Women, and you women know what I'm talking about, you wait till your girlfriend stops talking before you start. How do I know that? Because I've been lectured by many girlfriends to shut the fuck up and let them talk. And I've learned when it's intergender like that to stop. But when it's two guys, it's every man for himself, which is kind of what I like, because it's kind of natural, which is a conversation instead of an interview, which is where I'm going with this cockamamie story. Now, that being said, the sponsor of the show, we only have one sponsor, and sponsors Viva's show too, and that's Bill Tong. And Bill Tong, although Bill Tong USA, I didn't even know what this was. This is like gourmet beef jerky. Okay, so this guy, Anton, is one of the new guys to come from South Africa. He's got 5 kids and a wife, luckily. He homeschools them. He's a very conservative, hardworking guy who's brought this business to the great state of Texas. And he is sponsoring the show. Bill Tong is like the filet mignon of beef jerky, if that makes any sense. And there's a secret code, which is Mark G, which gets you 10% off. His menu also has cookies and gourmet cakes and things of that nature, which I haven't gotten to yet. But this is the product that you'll get. It is absolutely delicious. And I got it. It was moist. He says, he sends you 2 paper bags to put it in and dry it out. I'm too stupid to read the directions, so I just ate it right out of the bag. And this is my last bag, by the way, so I'm going to have to order some more for myself. But you get a 10% off discount with the BillTongUSA.com code, and don't forget the secret code, because that's the only way you're going to get it. So it's Mark G with the letter G there, and you can order anything you want on that website, which is billtongusa.com. Oh, there's a little picture of the stuff down there. Yeah, you get like whatever you order. It comes in a box, refrigerated, with those ice bags and stuff. Then you put it in your own refrigerator. I had no idea what this was, because I guess this guy's breaking into the market, and apparently in South Africa and other places, it's quite common. And what the hell is biltong? Let me just look this up for a second. I wanted to see if I can explain what biltong is. Because I'm just finding out about this thing here. Is biltong healthy? History of biltong. Let me see what this thing is here. Hold on. The history of biltong. For centuries before settlers arrived on the great shores of South Africa, there were two groups of people that inhabited the land. These groups were the San and the Khoisan. Khoisan were a group of skilled hunter-gatherers. They were also nomadic farmers that lived at one with nature. The skill and knowledge allowed them to live off the land. Part of their vast knowledge was the preservation of meat. Preservation of meat was done through a curing process that involved using salt and hanging the meat to dry. Okay. With the arrival of European settlers, I think this was in the 17th century, this process was refined by adding vinegar and spices before the meat was hung to dry. The name biltong was given by Dutch settlers who will soon be arriving here, by the way, under the new resettlement agreement. Bill means meat and tong means strip. The word biltong refers to a strip of meat. The cured form of meat in biltong form played an important role in travel. It was long-lasting, provided essential protein in the daily diet. Through the years, biltong has become an integral part of South African culture. It can be found in every supermarket or butchery in every town. Biltong is now spread to many other countries and is now consumed as a high-protein snack. Okay, so Dick, so it's super high protein, and that's kind of what it looks like. And you could just, if you've ever had beef jerky, imagine a hamburger compared to filet mignon. That's the closest American explanation I can give, because this is so gourmet. It kind of melts in your mouth, and then you just sit there eating the entire bag, like I stupidly did. But like I said, hit the thing for like 10%, use the secret code, and you will feel like you really accomplished something. Plus, look at the desserts, because I wanted somebody to tell me about the desserts before I got involved with the desserts. Now, okay, that being said, I wanted to introduce this guest, who's an old friend of mine, by reading some of his bio. Reading the entire bio would take up the length of the show. By the way, if you wanted to subscribe to the show, now would be a good time to like and subscribe, because I know how lazy most of you people are. You're just going to watch the show. You're going to fall asleep on your couch. You're going to wake up, the thing's over, and you're going to never have subscribed. You're never going to know when I'm going to do this again. If that happens, remember, it's Wednesdays at 6 o'clock Eastern on YouTube. Pacheco, way to go, bro. Sub both channels and your Twitter. I love the stories. Get her stuff. Thank you, Gustavo. Thank you so much. You think you're pulling teeth to get these people to subscribe. It's free, people. There's no money involved in it. I know you're lazy, dog nose. Look, I'm the laziest one of all of you, so I don't even know how this thing works. Somehow this machine is running by itself. But let me read this guy's bio, because he's waiting around doing nothing, and he probably could be making money. So let me read who this guy is. As I said, he's an old friend. Okay, born and raised in New York, Stephen Fader came to his career performing stand-up in numerous comedy clubs while studying acting with Bill Esper at the prestigious Esper Studio. As a member of the Creative Actors Repertory Theater, he performed, directed, and produced Savage in Limbo, Sexual Perversity in New York, Danny and the Deep Sea, so Speed the Plow, Mammoth. He transitioned from theater to film by producing and co-writing The Big Gig. The film won 3 international grand prize awards, including the coveted Audience Award at the Hamptons International Film Festival. Next, Stephen wrote, produced, and directed and starred in the dramatic feature jury prize-winning film The Cottonwood, starring Pruitt Taylor Vince, Gia Carides, Stacy Edwards, Cynthia Nixon, who at the time I think was not a lesbian. Check me on that. Michael Wright, Tony Sirico, a.k.a. Paulie Walnuts, Missi Pyle featured on the Showtime's Best of Independent Film Director's Cut series. Next, he wrote and directed and produced the romantic comedy It Had to Be You, starring Natasha Henstridge. We'll have to tell the story about the porpoise. Michael Vartan, I think they're both Canadian, right? Michael Rispoli, a known Italian, and Olivia who was really smoking hot. Stephen has collaborated with Academy Award winners Barry Levinson, Al Pacino, his scripted crime thriller Charlie Irish for Warner Brothers, and Golden Globe winners James Gandolfini and Alec Baldwin on his scripted comedy drama With a Bullet, based on the music industry in 1977 for Fox. He adapted Jack London's The Game as a 4-part series for producers Gunter Fishgold. There's a name you won't forget, and some other guy. Stephen has completed just recently a Brooklyn Love Story, which he wrote and directed with these other people, starring Joseph D'Onofrio. I don't know if he's related to Vince D'Onofrio. Vincent Pastore, who I think is Big Pussy. For 2 decades, Steve has worked as a director, writer, script doctor, ghostwriter. He's written a dozen films, directed music videos, and produced documentaries, including The Promoters. Stephen's many interests, includes a 17-year association in the world of professional boxing, which is what we're going to get into also after we go through the Hollywood stuff. This guy's got multiple careers. He has managed 3 world champion boxers, traveled the world with close friend and Hall of Fame 7-time trainer of the year, Freddie Roach. Stephen appeared as himself in the Peter Berg-directed HBO docuseries on Freddie Roach. Stephen is the father of 2 beautiful daughters and lives in Los Angeles, unfortunately for him, trying to escape like many of us. Those are the 2 of his daughters. I was going to save that for a while, but we could bring Steve on. Maybe you can explain what happened. Oh, sorry, Steve. What happened to his life and how he's still stuck here in Los Angeles. Both of us trying to escape at this point have had no luck because gas prices are so high. We can literally only make it to Coachella before we have to turn back. Welcome to the show, Steve Fader. I don't even know if this is a show. It just kind of started. You're the 3rd guest we've ever had in the history of YouTube. And
let me just go on record here for a second, Mark.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Since we're having overlapping dialogue, I have followed a lot of acts in my day. Okay? 35 years in the business, you run into a lot of situations. I've never followed beef jerky before. Okay?
I know. I wouldn't say it's beef jerky. That's the point. And if you could get closer to the mic and speak up, I'll have to kill you if you don't. Well, but it's not beef jerky. That's the whole point of the thing.
It's not beef jerky. Okay.
It's the gourmet of beef jerky, my friend. It's cured a different way also. But
okay. Okay. Can you hear me now better though? Is that better?
Yeah, no, it's much better. Thank you.
Okay,
it's
good.
Usually some technicals. Do you remember Philip Baker Hall, by the way?
Of course, yes.
I was just thinking about Philip Baker Hall because I'm reading
the Seinfeld episode.
Well, multiple Seinfeld episodes.
Yeah,
He was a bookman, but he was also the doctor, right? Wasn't he like Elaine's gynecologist or Elaine's?
Oh, you know what? I think he did do an episode doing that, but the one I remember the most for is Bookman, who was the detective for the library. Yeah.
Right. So he was doing, this is what I was going to talk to you about. I'm in the middle of Larry Charles's biography, which is called Samurai Comedy. Samurai Comedy, yeah. Comedy Samurai. Let me put it that way. And he goes into the various episodes that he wrote and how he got there. And Bookman, he was talking about, was really Dragnet. He made it into Jack Webb.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I know. It's totally
that nuts. Was the delivery 100%.
Right. And that's where he got it from. And he was talking about the dead body that was on a plane. And this happened to a friend of his, and they just put the blanket over the dead body, and the guy had to fly with the dead body. And he did this with Elaine, and the network freaked out, Steve. So they got this. This is the airplane trip, the airplane. Yeah. No. So they changed it from the dead body to the annoying guy. But Larry Charles is the one who comes out of the bathroom where it stinks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Well, he had a couple of times that he showed up in episodes.
Right.
It was more than once. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but Charles, anyway, this book.
How about the thing where they can't find the car in the parking lot? That was Larry Charles. He's
all of
walking through.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
something right now. All of the
Yeah.
surreal episodes he said were him.
Yeah.
You know, Kramer being the serial killer in LA, the two-parter, Steve.
Right.
You know, that was him. Everything that was abstract, he said he got from Abbott and Costello, and that all of them had that same reference point, either the Honeymooners or Abbott and Costello, and they never watched regular sitcoms. You know, growing
Now,
up.
interesting enough, the episode you're talking about, where they make the phone call next to Big Five on Ventura Boulevard Place, when Jerry's trying to figure out what the address is, where they are, the cop that pulls up in the car, when he shows up like 5 seconds after they call the police, which would be an interesting thing to happen in Los Angeles, but
right.
He shows up right away. Now, the guy that plays the cop used to be my daughter's gym teacher in elementary school.
Well, that's a strange brush.
But I'll give you another one. He ends up showing back up in the Seinfeld episode and plays Elaine's boyfriend with the guy that wouldn't give her tell her where the glasses were bought. And her boss ends up going to the book signing and says, "Where did you get those glasses?" And he gets all pissed off.
Right. Oh, I mean, there's so many good things in the book. I mean, well, of course, he goes before he even gets to Seinfeld. He's writing for Arsenio. He's on Arsenio's show. He never gets any jokes on. He's with David. What's his name? The Canadian, the the Jewish comic. Not David Fry. Not David.
Oh, you're talking about yeah. I know you're talking.
David Steinberg. David Steinberg.
Yeah,
he's writing for David Steinberg. He's writing for Belzer on like specials, like TV specials for Belzer. But he's kind of out of work for like years and years.
Like us. Yeah.
He's just drifting around, and that's really fascinating. And then, you know, he not hits with it. He gets hired for Fridays simply because he grew up with Larry David, or didn't know Larry David, but he knew of him. And Larry David gets him into Fridays, and Larry's like his mentor. And Fridays, you know, has Michael Richards on it.
Yeah.
And then they all kind of, as he's going down the hall in Fridays, they were in a sub basement or something, and he goes down the hall, and they've got this. He sees this guy lying on the couch, almost crying, and he's working on this shit ass show, Benson. Remember that one with
sure, of course,
with the governor and his butler.
Yeah.
I think it was right.
Yeah.
So the guy in the show, I don't even remember this. Maybe you remember this. There's a guy in the show who is a speechwriter for the governor. And that guy is laying on the couch sobbing because he can't wait to get off the show. And that guy was Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah. So Larry Charles, who's actually Larry Wingrod, by the way, grows up in of all places, Stephen, Trump Village.
What? Really?
Yeah, dude. No. There's so many freaking overlaps.
That's wild,
dude.
That's
it's
wild.
Just crazy. I gotta meet this guy. So many guys that we have in common. There's so many overlapping friends, but you know, I reached out to him.
Well, he did a brilliant job with that show. You know, I mean, just
right. But he never really gets compensated because his agent is Ari Emanuel, who fucks him through his entire career until he fires him, and then he continues to screw him.
Wow.
No, he never really. No, dude, he never gets executive producer credits.
It's true. It's true.
Right. Yeah, everybody's making a fortune off of every show he's ever been on. And this is his complaint about his life in show business. He reinvigorates Mad About You. He brings it back up in the ratings, puts it into syndication, and he's just a samurai who comes into these shows as a comedy samurai, Stephen.
So he was represented by Ari? Is that right?
Yeah. No, he creates a show called Entourage. And he creates Jeremy Piven's character based on Ari.
And you remember that Piven showed up as George in the episode where they're trying to do the pilot.
I'll tell you something else. Elaine had no lines in the show at the beginning, and then Larry drew her name on the board, and there's 4 characters. So what they did was they had so many George stories, because the George was Larry's stories, that they just took a chunk of them and gave them to Elaine. And Elaine is kind of the mirror image of George, because they took the George stories and gave them to her.
They split it over to her. They
split it over because none of them had girlfriends. None of them knew how to write for women. And they finally said, she's absolutely correct. We've got to give her something. We don't know how to do it because we're retarded. So they took half of George's stories and then just assigned it to her. And she was happy.
Crazy. Now, have you revealed the fact that you're Kramer? Have you told the audience that?
No, you think I'm Kramer.
No,
but
I know you're Kramer. Okay.
I
Yeah.
lived in Manhattan Plaza with the real Kramer. As you're well aware, your cousin was on the other floor.
That's right, Barry, who, by the way, Larry David borrowed the tie from.
Are we live yet? Or when does the show start?
It starts about, I don't know. Oh, you're actually doing this in front of other people?
I have no idea.
Wow.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so
Okay. All right, go ahead.
the real Kramer lived. What he says is that Larry David just decided to use the real names of his friends as characters. Kramer, the real Kramer, eventually, as you know, started a tour line where he took people around Manhattan to show 100%. The different locations of Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, he uses, I mean, in Seinfeld, even in Curb a little bit, but really in Seinfeld, they use a ton of names of all their real names.
No, that's what I'm just saying, right?
Yeah,
one of them being Kramer. One of them being Kramer.
Yeah,
but he really liked writing for Kramer and Kramer storylines because, let me put it this way, Larry Charles is a freak. Even by his own admission, he's a total freak. That's how he ends up with Borat. That's how he ends up with Bob Dylan directing Masked and Anonymous, and then the movie bombs and nobody will talk to him. And he goes back to Curb. You know, he literally directs the early episodes of Curb, Stephen.
Yeah.
And he was explaining how it worked. He said Stephen and I were just talking about, I guess we must have missed season 12 or something, but
yeah, we're trying to figure that out.
We'll have to figure that out. But he says there's a tight outline with no dialogue, right? So it's like 10 pages max, Stephen. You know, and then the dialogue is your actual dialogue, whatever you think you would say. And they feel that the structure of the scene itself is humorous enough to where if you say what's normally said, that'll be hysterically funny.
Yeah, no, it's a concept that would be almost impossible for too many shows to pull off. It shows you the brilliance of the actors, and obviously they outlined great scenarios, but you got to have people who really know how to work on their feet to pull that off.
Right.
What's really wild is if you think about Seinfeld, just to go back to the beginning, just think this is a show that had was only given 4. They greenlit 4 episodes, and they were going to pull it immediately.
Right.
And
He talks about that.
Greatest, one of the greatest comics, sitcoms in history.
He gets the thing for 13, and the first guy he hires is Larry Charles. When they got the 13 commitment, he brings in Larry Charles, and Larry Charles again gets screwed. He's like a story consultant thing, and Larry's got like 4 or 5 full scripts that he tosses him and says, let's make it like these. And he read those and he thought those were brilliant, and he tried to, copy those in that kind of a structure.
Yeah, and the bulk of what's wild is the bulk of the seasons, pretty much after that, it might have been after the first 2, became 22 episode orders.
Yeah. Oh, they were huge. Now it's like
back in the
8
day,
episodes.
You're lucky if you get 8,
Yeah,
in our case, you're lucky if you get 1. Yeah.
That is kind of sad. But let's talk about you, because that's why you're here. Forget about this stuff. But you got to get the book. The book is, just get the book. You'll drop dead about this.
It might be on my shelf back here.
You got hundreds and hundreds of books back there.
Well, I'm very well read.
You're very well read. Obviously, you came out of Brooklyn. I don't know how you got here. Your father was in the schmata business, from what I read in your novel, My Dad, the Schmata.
Yes.
What is the deal with your dad? I always wondered about. I mean, I knew your dad, but what is your dad had a partner?
My dad loved you. Yeah.
I know. I loved your dad. Your dad had a partner. Now, who ripped who off? Your dad or the partner?
The partner ripped my dad off.
because
the partner was my mother. No, but the partner was my mother's brother.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not ever know that. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So it was a family business making pants and I don't know, garments.
Stuff.
Yeah. Garments, so you had to go to China for reasons that are unknown at the time. But
that's right.
When you went to China, is it true that you brought your own utensils?
I didn't bring my own utensils, but I had to pass the utensils through pots of boiling water by hand, because they didn't have the sterilization systems yet back then. This is in the 1920s.
Right.
So I went to Asia about 9 times. Yeah.
To get fabrics, or what's the deal? To get
get yard goods, fabrics. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're working with your dad and you say, finally, you said, I can't take it anymore. But let's go backwards a little bit because I wanted to go to your high school basketball career that nobody really knows about except me for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Now, you're playing basketball in this high school. Which high school? Elmhurst or something?
It was Flushing. Yeah.
Oh, Flushing. Okay. So it was in Flushing and you play basketball and you're on the all-star team and you're the only white guy. Is that possible?
One of two white guys. Yeah.
Okay. So you're
I
playing
think
a black.
the other one was like the ball manager or something.
Oh, here's a picture of you. Let's take a look at that.
Now that's later. That's in college. That's during my 6 years of playing college ball. Yeah.
So because you couldn't pass the finals, they kept you on?
No, I just kept telling them different stories. After I finished the last season in my 4-year, went to Division I school.
Yeah.
In college, I didn't go to college to graduate. I went to play ball. So I left. Then I ended up, going to another school, a JUCO, after that for 2 more years and played. We won the state championship. I just kept telling people I hadn't graduated yet.
Because this was the only thing you could do, right?
It's the only thing I really could do. Yeah.
Where is this? In Florida, Steve?
That one's in Texas. The other one was in Florida. Yeah.
So how did a guy from Brooklyn get along in Texas and in Florida? This seems like 2 fish out of water states for someone.
Not well.
Did they, when you were in the Klan, and I mean the adjunct version of the Klan, not the non-Jewish version of the Klan, were there benefits or any royalties or anything? You just went to the meetings with the hood on?
Let me tell you something. I had a black roommate, right?
Right.
Both times I had black roommates. And one day we get a call, and the cheerleaders used to come over to our apartment all the time after school. And, they'd work on booster clubs and stuff like that and other things.
Right.
And I get a call from one of the girls saying, listen, we can't come over anymore. What do you mean? They found out you had a black roommate.
What?
So, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Then it got worse because they found out that my black roommate had a Jewish roommate.
So they put the 2 of you together. That's interesting.
Yeah. So we would travel sometimes, going to hotels and motels on the road for road games, and the managers would not let me room with the black ball players. I had a room
awkward.
with the assistant coach. Yeah. So it was a lot of racism, a lot of anti-Semitism.
Wow.
A lot. Yeah.
Did you get drafted? Well, you were drafted for the pros, or?
I did a semi-pro. I went to camp, one in Tampa, one in Texas. I was supposed to go overseas, actually, in Australia, in Melbourne, for the Bombers. But at that point, my knees were completely shot.
That's why I can beat you to this day, right? Because of the knees. You keep saying the knees.
Do you remember the game we played with those two 16-year-olds? In Studio
where was
City?
It, like Toluca Lake or something? Or?
That area somewhere around
We took them,
and then we couldn't move.
They were bitter. They were bitter teens.
Oh, they were angry.
One guy went to prison, I heard, later in life.
Another one, they were laughing at us. They
self-deleted himself. Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
we made some money on that. It reminds me of White Men Can't Jump, one of the great comedies of all time.
Love that movie.
Right? Yeah. How great is that movie? Let me ask you something. How great is White Men Can't Jump?
You know what I always say about movies? When a movie can hold up, you know what I mean? You know how really good it is. Like you can, not watch something for 20 years. And you can't say that about a lot of movies. But that's
That's why I ripped it off and wrote Cue Ball, which was a direct ripoff of White Man Can't Jump, but it was a black and white guy as 2 pool hustlers, which was optioned by Al Ruddy, now I remember, who produced The Godfather.
I don't think any 2 guys have had more Hollywood stories.
Oh no, I beg to differ. Talk to Larry Charles because
Larry Charles.
Yeah, I mean this guy's got stories that would kill us. I mean, I mean, speaking of stories, remember, you could just reminded me about this guy Gil Federbush. We had put together. There's a guy named Gil Federbush.
Yes,
who I think his son worked for, I don't know, Showtime or Bravo. His son was in the business.
Oh, 100%. That was the point of going.
Right. We kept saying he's his father. Right. Yeah. So I had written a movie called Sonora House, and we had scouted locations. I was supposed to direct this film. And this guy was the money source in New York. Now, we had never met him, and I guess Steve was on board as a producer in this particular indie. I think the budget was like $250,000 or something, right? It was like, was it 250 or 500?
We would do, I think it was 500.
500. Okay.
Yeah.
And we had a pretty interesting cast. We had,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm just remembering who was in there. Wow, that was kind of interesting. So we go and we call this guy on the phone, and a million phone calls, and we were supposed to fly to New York to pick up the check, Steve? Was that?
Literally to go to New York, meet with the father, make the deal, pick up the check, and like we could have supposedly just get in the car, go right upstate and start shooting this thing.
Right, this
That was
supposed to
the
be in
whole thing.
upstate New York.
But,
Yeah.
But what we were gonna, you know, because you were already up there scouting, like the Woodstock area and all
Right,
places
right,
like
right.
that. And oh my God, Mark, just put a pin in this one because it just reminded me of the one where we went out to the desert to scout that
Oh
one. That was
no.
enough.
Oh my God.
And
Oh,
crack-
okay. Wait.
the
Let's
crack
finish
that-
this one.
Just
We gotta
finish this, yeah.
Let's
Yeah, we
finish
can't
this.
forget that.
We
So
go
we
to
go to
this.
New York.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you and I fly together. We get on the
Oh,
plane.
right.
We went to New York. You know, we're all excited. We actually, I think, if I remember, we might have back then even put like I think you put a sport jacket on for this one. I think you might have had.
I think
a
it
good
was
look.
one of your
Yeah.
father's sports
Yes.
jackets from his
The Fatal
line of clothing. Yeah.
That's a whole
Everything I
different-
have, every jacket I
Yeah.
have comes from Steve's father.
Yeah, Mark used to call me up and say, "What do we have for the spring
The
line?"
new line. I was waiting for the
Yeah,
new fall
yeah,
line to come
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And his dad was colorblind, so you had two of each shirt.
Yes.
They were matching.
Yes.
That was kind of interesting.
In
So I
fact,
got one
long
of the two. I got one of the two.
Long after my father passed away, you kept on asking.
They were still good shirts. There was no reason to turn. You wanted to give them to Salvation
give 'em-
Army.
Well, to people that needed it, yes, Mark.
I
That's
needed
what
it.
was-
Those are good shirts. Your father liked.
No,
You know what I
I-
liked about it? He liked a big blousy shirt. Your dad.
He liked it. Yeah,
He
that.
liked a
the
big.
look.
He liked to be
Yeah,
loose in the
Great
shirt.
ties. Great ties. Yeah.
You know what? I need some more ties. If you have any more ties.
Let's do that.
All right. So we go to this office somewhere in Midtown, right?
Dude, it was right
No,
by
it was
the-
like
it was-
lower Midtown.
It was by Grand Central Station.
It was by
We went over
Blues.
there.
Yeah,
It was a really
Archimedes
nice
Town.
building. No, it was a really nice building. We in fact, I think we went for lunch somewhere around there first. It had like a sandwich. Pardon me, my allergies are killing me. So we go up to this guy's office, and we're already spending the money. You know, you and I are sure this is happening. You know, and we get up to the guy's office, and it's totally legit. You know,
Right. He had
totally legit.
movie posters in the
Oh,
hall.
yeah. A receptionist. I mean,
had a
we're
receptionist.
salvating. We already
We were
noticed
in.
it,
We
done-
were. It was like George
done
and
deal.
Jerry. Yeah.
And in fact, I think a couple of times we said, you know, how dare people question us? Like, you know, we did it. You know, like we were already looking for like, you know, anger towards other people not believing us.
Yeah.
You know, we were already doing that, which is a common theme in our relationship. But yeah, and all of a sudden the receptionist comes out and goes, Mr. Gobert, Mr. Fader, and we go, yes, Mr. Federbush would like to see you now. And we start walking in this guy's office, and I remember he had a great view in his office too, you know. And then all of a
And
sudden,
he had movie posters in the office.
movie posters everywhere,
And he was
all of
on
a
the
sudden,
phone, doing like he was doing
was on the
something,
phone,
which happened to be
but
unplugged,
he
but nevertheless.
and all of a sudden, immediately we
We
found
smell a
ourselves
rat. We started to smell a rat.
very disheveled looking.
Okay,
Oh,
let me just say
yeah.
this. His
Yes.
pantsuit did not match the jacket. I think that was the dead giveaway.
Mark, it was the craziest sport jacket with the crazy pants, 100%.
Right. It was two
Yeah.
different suits. He was clearly
100%.
wearing two different
Yeah.
suits. I think his name was Gil Federbush.
It could have been.
Yeah,
Could have been.
it could have been. And he puts down the phone
Mhm.
and he looks at me and Steve and he says, "Well, good to see you boys. This is a great project. Now, how do we get the money to pay for it?" And I
That's right.
looked at Steve
Yeah.
and he looked at me
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
we just got up and
Yeah.
said goodbye. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think there was
Yeah.
any small talk
No.
after that.
No.
He
no.
literally said, "How do we get the money to pay for this project?"
Yeah. We thought for a second, I thought
He was kidding.
I could throw this guy out the window.
Right.
Will
there
anyone
was
know?
there was a
Yeah.
beat where we
There
were
was a
bitter.
beat where we thought we should just beat him silly.
Right. But it was
But,
so over the top. I mean, that
Yeah.
I think we just got up and left. Like it was the
Yeah,
end of a
yeah.
Seinfeld episode or
It
something.
was just, we just kind of, it was like the honeymooners. We knew
It was like the
this gonna
honeymooners.
work out. Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
That
we
was
were
a- that
we
was-
thought we were in like Flint.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of family, there's a group of naked people. I don't know if you've seen this photo that I found here. There's a guy in a bathing suit, another guy in a bathing suit, a girl in a bathing suit, and somebody
Seriously?
holding a baby. Is this your family, or are these gypsies from Romania?
I'm sure it's Romania. I don't see anything. Can you show me?
Well,
the picture?
somehow we'll get it up there in a second. But take a look at this. Who are these people? Are these the people who escaped Auschwitz, or what?
That is really interesting. Okay, on the left is my father's brother George,
Right.
and to the right, I think that's. Let me see.
Wait,
Hold on a
is
second.
this guy George the guy who painted the Einstein thing that's in my
Yes.
kitchen?
Yes.
Oh, so he's the artist who painted Einstein.
Okay, so that's
Or
my uncle
charcoal
George.
sketch. Right.
That's my next to him is my sister Carrie.
Right on.
God rest her soul. Next to her is me. That's me.
Right.
And holding me is my father's father. We called him Papa Phil.
Papa Phil. Boy, he's really buff, Papa Phil. Look at him.
Now,
He's
let me tell you
ripped.
something. Papa Phil had I learned how to swim in Coney Island, and he had a locker
Who
at
didn't?
the baths. Okay, he had a locker at the baths, which he got from some friend of his. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, they threw me off the pier. Actually, that's how I actually learned.
Is that the cyclone in the back there, and the steeplechase or something?
Yeah, yep. That's in Coney Island right there.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's what. Now he never went to school after ninth grade. He smoked. I think he was like 4 years old. He started smoking. He
Wow.
died in his 60s.
Wow.
But he had the coolest. Like he was just the coolest guy. Wore these big black, framed glasses and khaki pants and white T-shirts with a cigarette in his ear, and just a really good guy. And I'll tell you a really quick side story is that he was the first person I ever saw get on a plane at LaGuardia Airport, a silver plane with the Star of David on the tail. And
Where was he
flew
going?
to Israel. He flew to Israel.
Oh my
And
God.
this is back in the day, man. Like, when there might have been one flight a month, And
Well,
I met my dad took me to the airport to watch him fly out. Yeah.
Now, your dad eventually moves to Florida like everybody else, right?
He had to. They came
By
got-
federal law, he had to move to Florida.
Yes, they took him away. Yes.
And apparently Larry Charles's family also moved to Boynton Beach from
He might
Trump
have been-
Village.
Yeah, my dad was in Boca. Yeah.
And remember the famous Seinfeld episode where Elaine's got to sleep on the fold-out bed, which
Yeah.
everyone had to sleep on.
Yeah,
I mean,
or
it's just,
George's
it's insane
parents.
how many
Yeah.
people were involved in this thing.
When you say Florida, it reminds me a lot of a trip I made to Florida with you.
With me? Oh my
Yes.
God, that's right. Oh my
Mark.
God, what the hell
Yeah.
were we doing there? Was it for one of your films or something?
It was I think we were at the film festival, the Fort Lauderdale Film Festival.
Okay.
But then we went and visited your mom and dad. We went to the condo in Florida.
Wait, yeah, I was wondering did we take my mom somewhere, or my
You
mom
and
was
I-
with you? I can't remember
No,
this.
your mom was there. We went to where your mom was living in the complex.
In West Palm.
Yeah, and then because she was driving you crazy so much for a couple of hours that night, you and I decided to go to a local movie in town.
Separately from my parents.
Yes, it was just you and I, and we decided what we didn't realize that we found ourselves in an all-black theater.
Is that true? I don't remember this. What are you talking about?
100%.
Where the hell did we go? On the other side of the tracks?
We went to see a movie. It was about 4 black women who were robbing a bank.
Oh,
And-
it was whatchamacallit?
I think Set It Off or something
Set
like
it
that.
off,
or
yeah.
Something like that, yeah. The entire film was being narrated by the rest of the audience.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Oh my, and they're yelling at the screen?
They're yelling at the screen, and you and I were crying. We were laughing. so hard.
Laughing, right?
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I had that happen to me one time in when I lived in Midtown Manhattan. We went to see The Color Purple, and again, it was an all-black audience. I took my girlfriend. We went to see Color Purple, and they were just yelling at the screen. And when the lesbian scene came up, it was just, "Oh Lord! Oh my God! Oh Lord! Oh, don't eat that woman! Don't be eating that woman out! Oh Lord! Lord!"
I give them credit for being a part of, because I asked, Don Betts, I played college basketball with. He's one of my dearest friends, African American, and he and I have had this conversation, and he said, yeah, it's like, they get into it.
It's like live theater. Maybe it's
live. Yeah.
It's a poor man's live theater.
Yeah. Let me tell you, they have a better time in theater than we do. That's all I got to tell you. Yeah.
That's a good one. Now, do you remember? I think my mom probably confused the two of us.
Yeah.
She probably thought it was me.
Yeah.
This is a picture of.
Oh yeah, there we are.
Yeah, look at this. A picture
of
Steve with my mother.
Yeah.
But why are you? Why are
Because
we
she
in a
liked
theater?
me and she didn't like you.
She hated me, but she
Yeah,
loved you.
Yeah.
She just kept saying, "Why can't you be more like Steve?" I go,
Yeah,
Mom, if I was
the
any
film
more
festival.
like Steve, I would be Steve's brother. Why don't you leave me alone? But
Yeah,
you're saying we were there for the Fort Lauderdale Film Festival.
That's right.
For which film?
That was the Cottonwood. That was
this is for your first film.
Yes, that was the Cottonwood.
Was there somebody there? I'm trying to remember this. Somebody was supposed to show up, and I had to go up and do about 10 minutes to warm up.
Oh, you spoke. Yeah, you spoke.
About what? What did I do? Why was I speaking?
Well, once you start talking, I kind of just,
right. Yeah,
I shut it off. Right. I don't remember much of it.
That's interesting.
But yeah,
so this is a screening or a film festival in Fort Lauderdale for the Cottonwood.
It's like 1996 or 7.
Okay, well, that's an interesting film.
Yeah.
All I remember about
I did the film in 95, but I think the festival was 96.
Oh, it was a year later. Okay.
It was a
year. So we went to my parents' house, and then she came to the screening.
Yes.
I guess
she was all excited. Yeah.
She liked it. Yeah. She thought there was hope. At that point, she thought there was hope for this, but she didn't know how ugly it was going to get.
Well, before we went there, you pulled me aside and say, if you want to live, you better convince her that there's a future.
What's so funny? Every time I went to Hollywood, I would tell them I would make up some celebrity name who was gay, and I would just make this up, and they would wait for me by the pool, and they'd go, "Oh, here he is," and I had the papers, which they wanted like they were crackheads, the New York Post, the Daily News, and they would literally rape me to get the papers, but they'd say, "All right, who's gay in Hollywood now?" And I went, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they went, "No." Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? I said, that's why he changed his name from Lou Alcindor, because he was gay and he came out of the closet. Anyway, the gullibility of these people was breathtaking. That's why.
Well, I used to do that. I used to do that with people too. I used to tell my family I found out that so-and-so is Jewish. I'd give all these crazy names like, Brad Pitt, not only Jewish, but Orthodox, So I would come up.
Do you remember when you met the Moyle who did your bris, or that was too early for you to remember?
It stayed with me for a while, but then through therapy,
you were able to flash back. No, okay, so let's talk about the Cottonwood for a second, because I think that's where I met you. Was on that.
Yeah, I could tell you that you met me on that, Mark, and I don't
Is that
think
true?
The audience, Mark, let me bring you back in time. I'm in the office with Jeff Mazzola. I had just got the bulk of the money. That's a story in itself, how I closed that deal. And I'm in a place like some place production office Jeff Mazzola had gotten, our mutual friend Jeff. And I get a phone call, and we're looking to crew up. We're crewing up, and I get a phone call from somebody who says they're a locations manager.
Me?
And yes, it was you, Mark. It was you. It was you. And of course, you don't tell me that when you made the phone call, you're in Los Angeles. Okay.
Oh, that's right. You were in New York.
Yes, I was in New York, and you did not tell me where you were. And anyway, for whatever reason, you must have said something crazy. And we said, okay, great. Yeah, that sounds good. You said you did all these things and you had a lot of experience. So we gave you the job. What we didn't know is that you immediately dropped the phone and got in your car and drove 3,000 miles. You
know what? That's right. Yeah. I drove all the way to the set. I didn't even skip a beat. I just jumped in the car.
That's right. Yeah. Now let me remind you of the first major location, because you were running around getting locations all over the city.
And I just want to ask, just for the audience at home, how much was the budget on the locations?
On locations?
How much was the budget?
How much did we give you, or how much
the budget for locations? Yeah.
I think
really. How much? I never knew what the budget was. Was there a budget for it or no?
It was definitely less than 5,000.
Okay, go on with your
and we shot all over New York City. We shot location, OTB office and all kinds of places. And it was based loosely.
That's right.
It was based loosely on a real restaurant at the time called the Cottonwood on Bleecker Street.
Yeah.
So Mark tells us, now this is one of the first days we were shooting. We had to go to a apartment. Okay, I think it was in either Brooklyn or Queens, and he said, "Yeah, no problem. Here's the address." So the whole crew is now outside. We're having a little donuts. We're getting ready to go in. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, and Mark comes over to me and says, he said, let me go, let me go make sure everything's okay. So he goes up to the apartment, knocks on the place. It was like a garden apartment of some sort.
Oh,
and he comes back to me and says, give me like $100. You got $100? And I go, $100? He goes, you know what? Give me $500. I said, $500? What are you talking about? That's 10% of the whole budget. $500. So Jeff Mazzola peels out $500. And Mark goes and gets a big bouquet of roses.
What?
Flowers.
I don't remember this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because let me tell you why Mark did that. Because when he knocked on the door of the apartment that he had, the woman had no idea what he was talking about.
Well, it was a run and gun shoot, Stephen. Look, she wasn't happy when the entire crew destroyed her bathroom within 20 minutes. When you have 38 men taking a dump in the same toilet in a garden apartment, things happen. But what she really didn't like was when she came home from work from Manhattan and the entire crew was in her living room watching her private collection of lesbian videos. That really sealed the deal. And she just kept yelling, get out, get out, get out.
Let me tell you what else she didn't like. Was that one of the scenes with me and Stacy Edwards in bed was in her bed.
That's right. Well, I mean, it's a location. Yeah. What are you going to do?
Right. But that was supposed to be a closed set. So when I walk out of the supposedly closed set,
naked,
the entire crew, is in the living room in Video Village watching.
Oh, that was awkward. Look, that has nothing to do with me. But I think my greatest achievement was securing that White Castle on Queens Boulevard, Stephen.
Yeah.
I had written, and this is my part of the film that I only remember this part. I had written to White Castle, which was based in Ohio, saying we're doing this major film in a letter, some cock and bull story letter.
Karen Lee Gordon, Karen from Saturday Night Fever. That's what you told me.
Right. Yeah, but I wrote this letter to the head of the president or CEO of White Castle, and they wrote back giving us permission to use this White Castle on Queens Boulevard. And here's a picture of the Cadillac from this show car pulling in. I think you're driving that, aren't you?
I am driving that. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Oh my God! This is right on Queens Boulevard. Right. Unfortunately for us, we were shooting on a Friday and Saturday night, doing overnights. And when Manhattan let out, when the bars closed, real people started pouring into the White Castle drunk, demanding White Castle and also milkshakes, and we couldn't fend them off. So I just started making them and giving them out to the drunks who were coming into the White Castle.
Yeah, Mark put a hat on and got back there and started
and I think we were banned from White Castle for the rest of our life.
Yeah, we were never let to go back there.
We gave away so much food to these drunken idiots who kept pulling. At first, I said we're closed, shooting a movie, but then they just kept coming and coming and coming. It was like The Mail, Stephen, with Newman.
No, it was really something. And then Carolyn Gorney, who was the star of Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta, she played the waitress who came out and gave me the burgers.
That's right. That's right. Whose brother I met in Athens, Greece, who told me that they were raised together on the money from their dad, the composer, who wrote "Brother, Can You Spare a Dime?"
No, I can't. No. Just so you know. If that was some subliminal thing that you wanted to
no. I mean, that was true. Her and her brother were raised in Beverly Hills, I think, and their father was a composer.
She was a doll, actually. She was really nice.
A doll. Is there a picture of me and Steven together? I thought there was one where we're wearing like suits and ties. We're wearing suits and ties.
Oh,
I don't know what we're doing in this photo.
That was dress up day for It Had to Be You.
What do you mean dress up day?
Okay, we had a day where we had the whole crew wear suits and ties. On It Had to Be You.
No. I don't think this is what this is.
Was that It Had to Be You, or was it from the Cottonwood?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. We're wearing like a
Maybe we're going to Temple. I don't know.
No. You're on the left. I'm on the right. We're both like hugging each other, wearing suits and ties.
Let's see the photo.
Well, this guy's looking for it. But how about this? There's a video. I wanted to show you a video.
You could do videos?
I could do videos, and we're going to show you.
Okay.
Wait, we're going to show you a video And I think that you're in this video, so maybe you can explain to us what's going on. In this video is myself, you, and I think Horshack is in this video.
Oh my God! Yeah, of course. Yeah.
A.K. Ron DeLillo.
Richie the Nudge.
No.
Why? Richie the Nudge, Johnny Bad Love Levine. What is it?
Charlie passed everybody all over fucking. Ain't nobody ever heard Hugo Boss spelled with a Y. Now come on.
Did you ask me for something from Europe?
Yeah, stick us up from Europe.
So in Europe, they spell it with a Y, like the Italian sports go.
What do you mean, like that Hugo thing?
Exactly.
Oh. Now that makes perfect sense. Chalus. Thanks a lot. Seriously, thank you.
And Rich, you should cook Siri, okay?
I can't believe Charlie is standing so close to this guy.
Hey, that was pretty good. I don't know. That wasn't so bad. I got the yellow suit out of it, bro. Bravo, Richie the Nudge. And what was Horshack's character's name?
That was
Ron DeLillo, right?
Yeah, Ron DeLillo. Yeah, but he was
look at this. I look like I could have been in this Brooklyn movie you just did.
Bad luck something, his name.
Bad luck. And you were Charlie.
I was Charlie
something or other. But you were also in the schmata business, I think, in the movie.
That's what it was. I was selling.
Well, tell the audience the plot of the. Here's a solo shot.
There you go. There you are. Yeah.
That's a nice shot.
No.
Tell the audience the plot of this movie because it's kind of fun.
Okay, so it's loosely based on kind of a little bit of a real scenario. I used to go down to this restaurant called the Cottonwood, and I go down there almost every Sunday, and I got to know these guys down there that ran the place, and a couple of other actors that I was doing theater with. And we used to sit at this booth. There was only one booth in the place in the back. And we started joking that we put $1 in together and buy a lotto ticket. And of course, we never won. But in the movie, these four idiots, they win the lotto, and they decide to make a movie. And my character is the one who's been writing all these plays and basically destroying their career. So who ends up writing the movie? Me. And then we basically, I don't know what I'm doing, so we knock off 52 scenes from 48 of the greatest Academy Award winning movies ever. And we start filming. And we had a hell of a cast, by the way. So it was a movie within a movie.
It's a movie within a movie because you were reenacting scenes from other movies like Goodfellas. And
every one of the scenes were all reenactments. Saturday Night Fever.
Right.
I had the white suit on, remember? Hope of Greenwich Village. There we are. There it is.
Oh yeah. Where is this? Tell me where this is.
Okay, this is at the Plaza Hotel.
What?
All right. Yeah, it's a Plaza Hotel. And we did a day where everybody had to come, all the crew members had to come dressed in suits and ties.
Why?
And that was dress up day. Why? Because it was a 40-day shoot, and we tried to.
Oh, we're losing our minds.
We're losing our minds. Yeah.
How about when the painting fell on my head when you had me in the bed?
You did lose an eye. Yeah,
I had to be taken to the hospital because of the incompetence of your crew.
Yes, that's
Wasn't there a guy named Ken Kelsch who was your DP?
Kenny Kelsch, who God rest his soul, recently passed away this past year.
Oh.
He shot all the Abel Ferrara movies. He was the DP
Ken Kelsch.
Bad Lieutenant. And I'll tell you a funny story actually about Kenny. There he is. That's Kenny.
There he is. Oh wow.
Yeah, there's Kenny. So Ken was also a Vietnam. He was a veteran of Vietnam, Special Forces, Parachute Division. And when I first met him, he was doing the new. I think it was New Rose Hotel. He was shooting for Abel, and he pulled a knife on me out of his belt buckle during the interview to see if he would get the job. And at that point, I felt I should hire him. So
let me tell you something. All I remember is he hated my guts. He called me the world's worst stand-in. And he had flashbacks.
You were.
No, because I've never been a stand-in. That was not my job. I was just filling in for somebody who wasn't a stand-in. But
let me go back on that, Mark.
Yeah.
You and I obviously are like brothers, right?
Right.
And I was going to be in New York for a long time.
Right.
And I wanted you with me.
Oh, I got you. Okay, maybe that's
so
how
I figured just be.
This guy didn't like me. I'll tell you right now. That guy did not like me.
Let me tell you why I didn't like you. Other than the obvious. But so I made you the stand-in for Michael Vartan. Okay.
Oh,
You
I
couldn't
was a
be more
stand-in.
different than Michael
Right,
Vartan.
right. I was a lot
Every
taller
time,
than Vartan.
yeah,
I was, yeah,
you were completely wrong. So every
right.
time we had a light for Michael Vartan, you were the stand-in. Ken would lose his mind, and he would say to me, "What the fuck are we doing with this guy? He doesn't look anything. He's not the right height. He's not the right size." And I go, "I know, but he's a buddy of mine." That was it. So then we put you in a scene inside the plaza at a bar of all places, and we ran 2 days over just on you trying to be a background. It was yeah. Do you remember that scene?
At the bar, yeah, that was kind of fun. I remember the guy
Yeah.
at the bar, the bartender. You know what
Stand-in for
I
he
like
was a
working with.
stand-in for Robert De Niro.
Right,
That's who
and he also, I like working with Pruitt, Pruitt Taylor Vince, who you see here on the left.
That was the
Who,
Cottonwood. That was the Cottonwood.
this is the Cottonwood, L.A. Confidential for Pruitt, Natural Born Killers. You know, worked with Oliver a lot on Heavy.
Yeah.
He's in the upcoming Superman, by the way, the 2025 Superman.
Yeah,
In case you didn't know.
I cast him in Sundance in 1995. I cast him when Heavy won the award. It was the same year that
Talking about Heavy with Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler.
yeah.
and also it was the year that Brothers McMullen won the audience award there. And ironically, what happened? I ended up with Jack Mulcahy from Brothers McMullen as one of the main guys.
Let me ask something.
Yeah.
We had a Baldwin on this movie coming up, the one you're going to discuss. What happened?
Yes.
And Mulcahy replaced Baldwin, right? If I
No,
remember.
no. Mulcahy didn't replace Baldwin. No. Michael Rispoli replaced Baldwin.
Oh, we had, maybe Steve could tell the story of Daniel Baldwin, who was supposed to be the star of the next movie we're going to talk about. Daniel Baldwin, this was opening day, and supposedly, weren't we at a church like on 53rd and Lex or something?
Yeah, we were shooting there, and we come out. And
this is for It Had to Be You, by the way.
Yeah, they used to have these newspaper things, you could pull the newspaper thing down and buy it. Ever since they started then they started breaking them and stealing them. But back then in the day, you could buy a newspaper in these little stands. And I come out with you. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning or something. And you said to me, "Have you seen the front cover of the Daily News?"
No, it was every paper. It wasn't just the Daily News.
Yeah, but how I had actually found out the night before, but I didn't know anyone was going to know about it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because my cousin at the time, Bart, he was running WABC News in New York.
Okay.
So I see a lot of people running around, and I said, "What the hell's going on here?" So I find out through Mazzola that Daniel Baldwin had gone AWOL like crazy, lost his mind in Plaza Hotel. It was really sad. They rushed him to Roosevelt Hospital. The guy nearly died. And so I called my cousin up and I said, "What is your lead-in story at 5 o'clock today?" And he says, Daniel Baldwin OD'd at the Plaza Hotel. He ran naked through the hallways.
Didn't they take him out handcuffed to a gurney, Steve?
Yeah, they had
if I
to.
remember correctly, the room was in shambles.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
The whole thing. But here's the thing, and you actually, ironically, kind of called the shot here a day before, because we went out the night before to a really nice restaurant, the whole lead cast.
Yeah.
And Ken was with us, Kenny Kelch.
Ken Kelch.
And so was Vartan and Olivia Dabo. And Daniel
was
and
Natasha
way,
with her? Natasha wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, she was.
And, she was there. And Daniel Baldwin, by the way, is a terrific guy. Like, he was the nicest guy and
great guy now. Great guy now.
Incredibly talented, But so we're at this great restaurant, and they want to look at the wine list. And who looks at the wine list is Daniel. He's studying the wine list, and he orders like one of the best bottles you can get. And Ken Kelch looks at me and shakes his head, and then I told you about it, and you said, "Is anyone watching him?"
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
And we had a cousin. His cousin was watching him. And
who was that? Adam Baldwin or something?
No, that was a female cousin.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right.
I mean, I met all the Baldwins on that movie, actually, but
right.
And I became friends with Billy, and Alec had called too, and everyone was very kind. But he told me, and then you said to me, "That's not good." The fact that he even touched that wine list.
Right.
Well, the next morning, we found
It was
out
all
that
over the papers.
It was
in
all over
every-
the papers.
I
yeah.
just remember you calling his mother and her saying, "Can I give you another Baldwin?"
Yeah, yeah. One
Is
more
that
ball.
true, or did I
said-
misremember that? Did she actually
No,
say?
they were saying, "Is there anything?" Actually, Alecky would call up and say, "Is there anything? So sorry. Is there anything we can do?"
Right.
And I said, "Not at this point."
Not at this point. Didn't we end up with like a third cousin named Tommy Baldwin or something?
He was in one of the scenes.
Right.
He was in there. Yeah, yeah.
He was
a
in
very
there
nice guy.
already, or he came?
No,
through?
no. Yeah. We I think I might have actually put him in because of the incident. I'm not
Right.
sure.
I know. I think
Yeah.
I thought that he
We made him a
thought-
cop. We made him a cop.
Right, but I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
he was thinking that he was going to replace Daniel
Yes.
Baldwin, and now he
Yes.
just gets some obscure role
Yeah.
on top of a building, or there was a
Yeah,
balloon.
yeah, that's right. That's right. It was a
Oh
rescue
wow!
scene.
There was
Top
a
of the
jumper. Wasn't there a jumper scene?
There was a jumper scene. So when this whole thing went down, I call immediately. I go, okay, I know who's going to take this spot. It's going to be Michael Rispoli, who I wanted
Rispoli,
to cast back
right,
at the Cottonwood.
He was
And
great.
by the way,
he was great.
that's how I ended up having to play that role in the Cottonwood, because 2 days before we started shooting the Cottonwood, we found out that Sony wasn't going to let Michael out of the deal, out of the TV deal he had.
Right.
And so Mazzola and Jim Bappico said to me, "Well, you're going to have to play the role." I said, "Are you guys crazy? I'm directing this, producing. Are you crazy?" He goes, "You're the only one that's going to remember the lines." And so I end up playing the role of Charlie Black. Charlie
Oh,
Black.
Charlie Black. Right. Charlie
So
Black.
we go, yeah. So
Well, here's
Michael
the four
Rispoli,
guys. Here's the four guys
there
in
it
the
is,
booth.
Yeah. Yeah, so Cyril O'Reilly, who I just actually had breakfast with a couple of
Is that
maybe
true?
a month or two. Yeah.
Oh,
Cyril
wow.
and I got one of the nicest guys and sweetest guys ever.
I just saw Pruitt on an
yeah.
episode of House playing a 400-pound man laying in a bed, and the EMS comes. He's obviously in a fat suit,
Yeah.
but it was like his face with 400 pounds around him.
He's such a gifted guy. We had
Yeah.
such a good time in that movie. And then Jack, who I keep in touch with Jack too.
What happened to him? What happened to Jack Mulcahy?
He's been acting. He's actually involved with the Screen Actors Guild. I think he's like one of the administrators or something.
Oh wow!
He was big when the strike was going on. He was very active.
Right.
But,
Were
yeah,
we banging
yeah.
on the door to get him or something? I forgot whose door were we banging on?
Yeah. So one night, I'll tell you. One night we're waiting for Jack to show up.
This
And
guy.
at the time, now Jack is sober, just so you know. Jack's
boy.
sober.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
So we could not find Jack. And so it turns out Jack was still in bed. And we literally had to send guys over there, I kid you not, with a baseball bat and bang on that door like over and over again. And he finally got up, and he does end up showing up, not in too good a shape. And he and I got into it pretty good, actually. But he was so apologetic, and we bonded over the situation. But it was a tough night. I gotta
Wait,
tell you.
didn't somebody for the over the shot
Yes.
have
Yes.
to wear just his jacket?
We took
over
out
the
a
shoulder
wardrobe,
shots? Was
and
there a
it was
girl
not
doing
him. No, it was a guy, one of the like guys that one of the runners or something, or the interns, and we put the jacket on him, and it's a scene with me actually. We're going at it, we're arguing, and he had to wear a jacket, and then Jack eventually showed up. I actually had another incident like similar to that when Michael Wright, who was another gifted, amazing actor. We had a scene
What
with
happened to Michael Rice? Is he still alive? Highly doubt.
He's still alive. He's still alive. Yeah,
Wow.
he's still alive.
Wow.
Yeah. Still alive. He's had his issues, but again, a terrific guy. So one night he came to me. We had a big scene, a huge scene with him. Me, Pruitt, and Michael, and he had done a little drinking, and so he was having a hard time remembering the lines. So I decided to take big oak tang book, the big, and write all the lines out and hold it over my head. I had an intern hold it over my head. And Michael would look at the lines and act like it was coming. I said, Michael, act like it's coming from the gods. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he was like, so if you watch the movie, you'll see Michael go like this. Like,
Oh yeah, he's looking up in the air.
but he's actually looking at the lines.
Well,
Yeah,
Brando
but-
did that too.
Yeah,
Brando did the same thing.
But he
Yeah.
was brilliant. He did a great job. I love Michael. Oh, this
Now,
shot's
now
great.
who are
This is-
these two guys here on?
Yeah,
the-
Michael Vartan, Tony Sirico. This was shot in a jewelry store downtown New York, where Tony
right,
plays
right.
the jewelry store salesman, Michael's getting ready for his wedding, and he goes into the store to buy a gift for his groomsman. Tony
Right.
convinces him to buy these pens, which may or may not work.
Oh, the
And-
pens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the pens. Yeah, Tony was great. He was so funny in that scene.
Dude, he told me, I don't know. Did he tell you
yeah.
the same story where he had a bar, how he ended up in Sing Sing? Where
What,
he had a bar that he drank in, and I think it was Mary
Yeah.
Lou's.
Mary
And
Lou's,
he
yeah.
came in, and the bartender was not there. It was in the afternoon, and
Uh-huh.
he had a replacement, some college kid. And he said, I run a tab. And he said, I can't do that because I'm only here today. You got to pay. And he told him to go F himself. And the guy insisted he pay. And he went back to his apartment or somewhere, came back with a baseball bat and
Mhm.
beat him with the baseball bat. And unfortunately, 2 off-duty cops walked in while he was beating him with the bat. And that's what sent him up the river. It's a
Up the
story he
river,
told
yeah.
me. I mean, that's
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, there was something like that. I'm not sure if it was Mary Lou's or not, but it was definitely.
I don't
one
know
of
if it was
those
Mary
joints.
Lou's, but it was some
Yeah.
downtown bar.
Yeah,
And he wanted
I mean
to
that
run
was one of the many things that sent.
right. No, he didn't
Tony
seem
up-
upset
up
about
there.
it. It seemed like
No.
he was a frequent repeat customer.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, the long-term one was he went up, for armed robbery. That's what.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But Tony was great. I did 2 movies with Tony, and he was fantastic. He did a scene in How to Be You, that one, and then he did a scene in the Cottonwood as well.
There's a scene
outside
with
the
me and
OTB
you.
office.
There's
Yeah.
a scene with me and you. I don't even know what's going on here. It's me and you and a black guy in between.
Well, that could have been a robbery. I don't know.
It could have been a robbery. I don't know who the hell this guy is. Maybe we can find this. I don't know. It's there's a guy in the middle. Let me see if we could find this thing. Yeah. Who is this?
Great story. This is amazing. This is a wild story.
There's another one like this. There's another
Well,
photo of this
yeah.
guy too.
Yeah. Well, there's a scene with him overlooking a shot that we're taking. Michael Wright and I are kind of looking at this, like it's inside the Cottonwood, I think, of the story you're talking about. And I might be in the director's chair or something.
Right.
Okay, this guy's name is Roger Bob. Now,
He's got 2
Mark-
first names.
Roger Bob.
Right.
Now, Mark, you and I have something, we have a lot of things in common. One of the other things we have in common is,
Look at this one.
Yeah,
What are we
whenever-
doing here?
yeah.
What's going on here?
okay, so whenever you and I work with people, right after we work with them, their careers tend to soar. Okay? And your career and my career go into a freeze zone. Like just
It's really
freeze.
weird. These
Yes.
people become very successful.
Very successful.
I
We
still got that
yeah.
jacket, by the way, in storage somewhere.
Yeah, my ex-wife gave that jacket away in a garage sale by mistake. I don't think it was
Right.
by mistake. Yeah. One of the ex-wives, I can't remember which
I think
one
I'm
it was.
wearing a wig, by the way. I don't know what's going on there with my hair.
No, your hair looks terrific.
I had good hair when I was a kid.
Yeah, look at me with the aviators on.
Oh yeah. So what
okay.
happened to Roger Bob?
Roger Bob became the president of Tyler Perry's company.
Oh, get out of here!
I swear to God.
Wow.
I gave him, that was the first job he got as an AD.
He had no idea what he was doing, by the way.
No, but he was a great guy. Well,
He
we didn't
was
know
the
what we were doing
happiest
either.
guy I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, we
He
had no idea what we were
idea how to
doing
be an AD.
Dude, I listen, I had no idea what I was doing either. I mean, how the movie came together was only because we had amazing actors in it. So he goes on, his career blows up. Okay, now, my present girlfriend, okay, who will go unmentioned,
Right.
she ends up hiring him not that long ago
What?
to do a movie because he became a director. He started directing these.
Of course
a
he
string-
did. Of course he
string of
did.
all these Hallmark movies. Why? Because Oprah Winfrey embraced Tyler Perry, and so she had the Ohm Network, and a lot of movies were made that way. And he ends up directing a bunch of films, these Hallmark movies. And my girlfriend was one of the execs involved with this movie in Rome, and he was the director. And he's been directing movies.
You know, if you
I
stay
haven't-
around long enough, they run out of
Yeah.
people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I need to reach out to him. I meant to reach out to him.
Maybe you can get
So,
you a job.
I don't think so.
I just want to talk about Natasha Henstridge because I was
Oh.
infatuated. Here's a random photo of Natasha Henstridge. Do you
Yes.
remember when we were in Central Park and we had to bring in
Yeah.
security because she had stalkers?
Yeah. It was not
Remember? And a
good.
guy came out of the bushes. I
Yeah.
just remember this. A guy
think
came
that
out of the
was- wasn't that-
bushes
wasn't
with
that you?
photos. What's that?
That was you out of the bushes, wasn't it?
No. There was a guy
Oh,
came out of the
okay.
bushes and he was
Okay.
like he had normal headshots of her. And
Oh,
he said, would you
yes.
mind signing these? And she was very nice. And
Yeah.
she signed like 3 or 4 in a row. The 5th one was her naked. The 6th one was her naked. The 7th, and she said, "That's enough. Security, security."
Yeah,
And he went, and he ran into the bushes.
Yeah, she was such a trooper on that movie.
Yeah.
She was I mean, honestly.
Also Canadian, I believe, right?
Yes, yeah. She's from Alberta. Alberta, yeah. She and I
We have a lot of
dinner.
Canadian followers, so I just pointed that out.
Yeah, no, listen, Canada, I think they're one of the greatest anti-Semitic countries there is. So,
well, don't sell them short. There's some other tough ones. I think they're down at 99th at this latest.
I actually love Canada. You know, I've been to Toronto many times. I've been to Montreal. I love it. I love Canada. Not as much as I like the beef jerky. Was I supposed to do a little?
No. That's a later segment. I'll pick it up.
Okay.
But she told the story to me, and I don't know if she told us other places, of doing what was the movie where she's underneath the water in a science fiction movie with a porpoise?
Species.
Oh, Species. She was telling me the story of Species, where she's in a tank with a porpoise, and the porpoise grabs her with his flippers, starts spinning around like a centrifuge at 100 miles an hour, and its porpoise penis comes out and tries to penetrate her under the water. Am I remembering this correctly? Because I think she later told it on Howard Stern.
You can't blame
I don't blame the porpoise. The porpoise is a mammal. Any mammal would do the same thing with Natasha Henstridge.
You know, she and I had dinner the night before we started shooting.
Yeah.
You know, and I had cast her in LA. We had like a 5-hour breakfast together. We really did. We went to Dupar's coffee shop, and we sat there for hours. We had breakfast and lunch. We just sat there for hours and hours and hours in the booth and talked about the character and stuff. And, you know, she was amazing. But she said to me, she says, you know, I never did a movie where I had this much dialogue, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot of dialogue. You
yeah,
wrote a lot of dialogue.
A lot of dialogue, yeah. So anyway, she was great, and she was so prepared, and she was so professional. But one of the things that happened with Natasha during the filming very early on, remember, it was a 40-day shoot.
Oh,
so she
I
called
didn't
me,
know that. 40 days.
Oh, yeah, 40 days
Wow.
shoot. So we go into, she calls me and she says, can you come into the trailer, you know?
Oh, boy.
I said, okay. I said, sure, you know. And she did tell me I had great hands, by the way, which I'll never forget. We were having dinner at the Oak Bar in Plaza.
Oh, this might be it, where she's explaining
how great I was. No, she said to me, "You have great hands," and that's why when I talk to women now, I always go like this. I don't know.
You put the hands up to your face.
Yeah, a lot of hands. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I put mine in my pocket. I put mine in my pocket.
Well, that's a good place for you. She told me that, she said, "Listen, can I talk to you? I am telling you something I haven't told anyone, including my own mother." I said, "Okay." I said, "What's up?" You know, and she's like getting dressed, you know, while she's talking to me, which was
go on
a bit distracting. You know, I feel like I'm doing Howard Stern now, you know. So anyway, so I opened the door and
go on.
She says, I'm pregnant.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And I said, okay, is this a congratulations pregnant? And she says, well, you know, she was pretty freaked out by it, but the great thing about Natasha was, I mean, here's this girl, she's starting to get nauseous, she's starting to feel sick, and she's just a trooper. She never was late, she never gave, I mean, she really is a terrific person and a great actress.
Yeah.
Underestimated.
Very
actress.
underrated, very
But
underrated.
here's the best, like, 2-second moment that happened during filming because of her pregnancy. We have a huge scene in front of the Plaza Hotel with a horse-drawn wagon. Okay, the horses are going to pull. Michael Vartan is in the horse-drawn wagon.
Oh, I remember that.
She's going to come out the front of the Plaza Hotel, and he's surprising her. And it's the moment where he finally says, you know, this is, you know, I love you, whatever. And so she comes down the stairs, and she's got to come down the stairs. So we practice it a couple of times. Now we're going to film it, and we're in the lobby of the Plaza, and she starts to walk towards the turnstile to walk out, and she looks at me. She says, "Hold on a second." She takes, you know, the garbage cans where the cigarette butts go in on top, you know, the tall cans.
Yeah.
She says, "Hold on one second," and she just takes the top off, throws up in the can.
Oh, okay? My God!
Puts the lid back on.
Oh,
goes
my
like
God.
this, and walks right out the door and does the
That's
scene.
a trooper. That's really a trooper.
She is amazing. She's
Wow.
amazing. I would work with her again in a heartbeat.
Well, so
She's-
would Bruce Willis if he could remember. In that, I
Yeah,
think it was
that's a-
Three Rivers or something, or what
Whole
was that
nine
thing?
yards. Whole 9 yards.
No. Was it? What was the one with?
Whole 9 yards. She did.
I know she
did
was in
two
the
of them.
Whole Nine Yards, but wasn't she also in a crime thriller with him?
Oh, she might have done
In
one.
Pittsburgh, Stephen. Three Rivers.
Yeah, maybe one of your research people can look that up while we're talking.
Oh,
about it.
I don't have to look it up. I have it right here, buddy. Right
That's
in
what's
my.
that's what's scary.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right. I can't remember what I had for breakfast, but I remember
Yeah.
that. Well, that's kind of
So-
interesting.
so-
Okay,
Yeah.
we have to move on to another strange career move by you, somehow moving into the world of boxing. This
Oh,
sounds like a
yes.
crazy thing. There seems to be you've made a lot of friends in boxing that people may recognize
Yeah.
from some of these images. It's amazing how many. To me, I mean, I was just listening to. Like I said, Larry Charles's book. Here, this is obviously Ray Beltran, the champion of the world.
Yeah, this is Armando Beltran who won the WBO 135-pound belt. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this guy was a brawler. I mean, he was Mexican. He was fighting for
Yeah.
a green card, I think, at the
Yes.
time. This is
Oh,
before
yeah.
they opened up the border and let every mutt
Yes.
in. But
Yeah.
he was kind of fighting to stay here. If I
He was fighting to get that green card. They put him through hell and back to
Yeah.
get it, but he
Yeah.
did get it eventually. And
Wow.
yeah, he fought for the world title. He was a guy who was Manny Pacquiao's sparring partner for 9 years, and he had 6 losses. on
oh
his
right, I
record.
forgot. I
Yeah,
forgot.
he was a guy that nobody thought about. And I did a lot of times when I was in camp with Manny and Freddie and stuff, and I saw this guy spar, and I was like, who is this guy? Like, what is going on with this guy? Why is this guy not like? And he had gotten mismanaged and mishandled and got corruption in boxing stuff, and so one of my buddies, Pepe Riley, who you are aware of, Mark.
Oh, Pepe, yeah.
He pulled me aside and said, we should do something with this guy, And I knew the odds were crazy, but I took him over, and lo and behold, I mean, we put him in some of the toughest fights. I knew the only way we were going to get there was to put him in really tough fights and move him fast. And yeah, it's a real rags to riches.
Well,
story.
he
It's
could take a
real
punch.
story.
I mean, that guy was a
Unbelievable.
banger. That
Unbelievable.
guy was a
He's
banger.
a-
He could really take a
yeah.
hit.
Ray
But it
was-
seems like every actor that
yeah,
in this town wants to be in boxing. You know,
Yes.
and I was just reading a part of the book, the Larry Charles book, where Dylan owns that coffee shop in Santa Monica, and he's got a boxing gym in the back, and even Dylan is boxing people.
yeah, he's very close, and he became friendly with Peter Berg, who also has his own boxing gym.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Pete's a big boxing fan.
right.
Yeah, a lot of actors, a lot of producers, a lot of directors, a lot of actresses, actors. I met so many people and got so many jobs. To be honest with you, a lot of the jobs I picked up over, especially in the last 10 years. I mean, this is the 18th year, starting the 18th year that I was involved with boxing, and 4 world champions. And it was all due to Freddie. I mean, Freddie really opened the doors.
How's
Bob
Freddie
Allen.
doing, by the way?
He's okay. He's okay.
Yeah.
It's
There's
my
Freddie
buddy.
Roach on the
Yeah.
side here
Yeah.
from Wild Card, which is in Hollywood, where I
Yeah.
am, on La Brea. Am I
Well, it's on Vine and Santa Monica.
on Vine in Santa Monica? Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
greatest neighborhoods going. Across from, I think it's across
Yes.
from the Social Security office.
Yes, it is. It's exactly right.
No,
Mark.
I know where it is.
I think you
I
visited
think
there
there's a
many times.
Staples.
Yeah.
Isn't there a Staples there also?
I think it's up the street. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Office Depot.
Office Depot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how bad is the smell in that place, based on a 1 to 10?
You know what? I got to be honest with you. Because I've been going there so long and so many
You don't
times,
even smell it. You know?
I have lost the sense of smell. And,
Right.
and I've had
Long co-
people
you got
come
long
to
COVID.
visit me. Yeah, no, people come to visit me there and they go, "How do you take it in here?" And I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about. Yeah, which which comes in handy if you visit New York in the summer. This is me and Freddie in Vegas. We're okay. This is a horse game, and I beat him at the horse game. We were betting, and it makes your horse go around in a certain speed, and I happened to take him down. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. In
Yeah.
one of those.
This
Yeah.
is Las Vegas. Yeah. Freddie and I did a lot of traveling. We traveled all over the world together, and he.
With these fights.
Terrific guy. Yes. I don't think I'd go on vacation with Freddie without the fights. This is
You're saying that the
with one of my
fights were
fighters.
the main thing. Now, explain this to me, because I think you and I
Yeah.
discussed this,
Yeah.
and I was going to buy one. You bought one. I don't know if you still
Yeah.
have it. What is
Yeah.
going on
This
here?
is Giovanni Cabrera.
Right.
And I think we were in Oklahoma City on this one. And he was like, at the time, like 20-0. And this is the day before he has to make weight. And he's going to make weight for the weigh-in the next day. And we traveled with a mini a sauna, a plug-in sauna that you could do in the hotel room. And so he's in there watching television, and I'm watching him. And he's losing weight in this thing.
So he's trying to make the weight in this
Yes.
portable sauna that
That's
you
right.
plugged into some hotel room,
Yeah,
and it's
that's right.
195 degrees inside,
Yes.
and his everything is shriveling up, but he's
Yeah.
got to make the weight. So this is,
Yeah.
I
He
guess
hasn't
it's a
eaten. They cut off all the food for 24 hours. Very little water at the end. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy.
wow.
Guys start chewing ice. Boxing is one of the most brutal sports in terms of what these guys, put their bodies through. But I became addicted with it. It was during the 2007 writer's strike, and I had I had nothing to do. I was at Johnny Rockets on Melrose.
Oh, I know
look
that one,
across,
yeah.
I look across the street, and there was a small gym. It wasn't Wildcard at the time. It was a little gym. And I went over there to work out because my office was up the street at Warner's, at Warner Hollywood in Formosa. And I met Latif Coyote in that gym, who was a 7-time national amateur champion, cruiserweight. And for some reason, I don't know what the hell, he was supposed to meet a guy to manage him, and the guy never showed up. And I decided to listen to his story. I go home to my then now ex-wife, and I said, I think I'm going to manage a fighter. And she's like cleaning the dishes, and I said, did you hear what I said? She goes, yeah. She said, what am I going to say? But you're not going to, you decided you're going to do it, So that, and I remember you actually got involved with this.
How did I get involved? I don't remember.
Because you told me I'm out of my mind.
Oh, right. Well,
Yeah.
it seemed like a strange
Yeah.
career departure to go
Yes.
from a writer director to managing boxes from Nigeria, but that's just me. Maybe
Go figure.
look at this guy. He did well.
Now that's Manny, who
That's
by the
Manny,
way,
that's Manny Pacquiao, by the way.
Yeah,
For people
now-
who don't know.
yeah, he won the world title in 9 different weight classes.
That's
One of the-
insane. That's
yeah,
insane.
he's the greatest fighter of all time.
Is he the
Okay.
greatest fighter of all time?
Contemporary times, he's the greatest.
Multiple weight
Absolutely.
classes,
9 weight
pound
classes.
for
you know what I mean?
pound.
Yep, everything.
Did he
So
run for the parliament in the Philippines or
He
something?
went for the presidency. In
Oh, the
Philippines.
presidency. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he didn't win, surprisingly enough, but he is
How
one of
could
the
he not win? He's
nicest
got name
guy-
recognition of 100%.
Well, there's a lot of corruption over there, I have to tell you.
Right. Good point. Good point.
He's such a good guy and such a really sweet guy, amazing fighter. But ironically, Manny is now one of my fighters, one of my recent fighters, who's I just fought in Philly, and he just won a North American title and belt.
Yeah.
And he's now Manny's sparring partner in camp. The Manny's fighting a title fight July 19th.
He's fighting
my
a
young-
title fight?
Yeah, he's going to
How
do a
old is he?
comeback
43
fight.
or something?
46. Yeah.
Oh my God. These
Yeah.
guys never get out at the top of the game, do they?
It's very hard for them to walk away. It really is.
It really
Yeah.
is. Why do they stay so long?
It's like George Burns. You know what I mean? They didn't really want
I
to
mean,
walk
but
away.
comedy's not the same as getting banged in the head by a 195-pound gorilla.
Well, it's
I mean,
not
you
that
smoke a cigar, you play God, and you get a residual. That's not the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. No, it's you got to realize something. Like, they're not us, right? These
Yeah.
are not normal human beings,
Obviously.
They operate on a whole different level. But yeah, so my guy, ironically, my Russian fighter, Daryl Kuchmanov, is sparring with, is in camp with Manny, which is ironic because the first guy I had was Ray, and he was in camp with Manny. And then
Who's
years
this guy
later-
here in the middle? You talk about not quitting.
So this is a documentary I did for HBO. That's George Foreman. Yeah.
Wow. Just passed
Yeah,
away
George
recently.
Foreman. Yeah. And the guy
Was he the mummy, Steve?
dude, he's I've met a lot of guys, and actually Michael Morrow, who George knocked out. I knew Michael too. And Michael's a great guy. George had the biggest hand you've ever, like, you've never seen anything like. You go shake his hand wrapped around your hand 3 times.
Go, try to
But-
hug Mike Tyson. You get like you're in the middle
Yeah.
of a tree trunk, right?
Yeah, Mike, now the version.
I love
of Mike.
Mark. Mark's a good friend,
Yeah.
but he's
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just
Mike is a good guy now. I mean,
He's
I
a
don't know
he's a
what-
good guy. I
He
love
is a
Mike.
good guy. Yeah, he's a good guy.
So Foreman, apparently, used to be the nastiest prick on earth, and then he
Unbelievable.
found Jesus and became the nicest guy on earth, right?
100%. It was
Didn't he
really,
find Jesus Christ and become a Christian?
became a preacher.
Oh, a preacher too, right? That's right.
Yeah, he was
That's
a
right.
preacher.
Not
And he got
unlike
the-
Hollywood Henderson from the Dallas Cowboys, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot
Same
about
thing.
that. That's
He
right.
was a crackhead, won the lottery twice. Texas lottery. I mean, unbelievable story. Became a preacher.
Yeah. Yeah. George traveled all over the country, became a preacher. And then he does the comeback fight at 45 years old and beats a 29-year-old top of the game, Michael Mora, by knocking him out with one punch. And changed the course of, I mean, listen, the next day, George was always laughing because he said the next day, you know, every middle-aged white guy got up and out of his bed and put on a T-shirt and went running.
Because they were inspired.
They were inspired. Yeah. So
What
yeah,
about
George
I understand the grill really changed his life.
Yeah, my old lawyer, his partner was the guy that made his grill deal. Yeah.
I mean, he became a multimillionaire because of the grills, right?
God. 10 times over. I mean, just unbelievable. Yeah.
You know what? That's what inspired me to create Grobert's Hibachi, which at the time people mocked me, but they didn't know what hibachi was. But I said this thing's going to work. It never did. But I was, because of George Foreman's grill, I came up with Grobert's Hibachi.
I might have been one of those people mocking you. I'm just going to be
You
honest.
might have been mocking, but it came in a small box and it's set up with little legs. It's kind of like Kramer's coffee table, table, right?
Yeah, book table. Yeah, right. Yeah. Ironically, by the way, the scene where he goes on the Regis and Kathy Lee show.
Oh, that was great.
Right. Okay. Now
that was great.
You may not know this because your research team is a little shallow.
Well, they're underpaid. That's not shallow.
Well, underpaid is, that's being kind. So I was a guest twice on that show for bachelor millionaires under 30 living in New York.
When was it a game show or something? Or
no, it was the Regis Philbin show with Kathy Lee. Right before they went national, they used to be a local New York, New Jersey, I think Washington show. That was their air.
Wow.
And I was dating Cece Goldwater, Barry Goldwater's granddaughter.
What?
Yes.
How
And
conservative was she?
You mean in bed or out of bed?
No, I mean, he was the most famous conservative at the time.
Yes. Well, I only got.
It might have been genetic. I don't know. Maybe she was a flaming commie for all I know.
No, I don't think so. But
what do you know? You never saw her in the daytime anyway.
No, I never did.
Now, what about Mark Gastineau's wife? How did you end up with her?
Okay, so I'm a guest on the Regis Philbin show,
right?
And Kathy Lee, off air in the green room, says to me, "Hey, I know somebody that'd be great for you. She's going to be a guest on the show, and she's a girlfriend of mine. Stick around." Okay, so I said, "Okay," because the other guys that were on the show,
Kathy Lee, way to go.
They were jerks, And Kathy Lee, by the way, I used to see her all the time in my old building because Frank Gifford lived in my dad's building. Okay, wow. So she was always going up the back elevator to visit Frank before they were married. So
I used to see Angela Lansbury when I lived in Manhattan Plaza.
Yeah, did she walk around with a filter in front of her, or
she was working on murder? She hired every single person on Murder She Wrote so they could get Writers Guild insurance.
Yeah, she was a hell of a lady.
Yeah.
So they actually named a filter after her, by the way, the Angela Lansbury filter.
Wow.
Because as she got
here's
older,
the Gastineau photo.
So I end up getting introduced to Lisa by Kathy Lee, and we start dating. I actually moved. I was living in Manhattan, and during the weekends I would spend. She lived all the way out in Huntington, Long Island, a huge house.
Yeah, on the North Shore, right?
Yeah. She lived there with Mark, but of course they were already separated.
Right.
And then there was a whole thing because there's Mark and Bridget, who ends up with Sly Stallone at some point.
That's Bridget Nielsen on the bottom?
That's Bridget Nielsen.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Yeah, a whole triangle going on here.
Whoa, look at that. Dude, this is crazy.
This is big. Then I live in with her, and she falls in love. She wants to make a thing of it. And here's the problem. So down below was a weight room, a big, huge gym of Mark's that was in the house. And she would say to me, if you want to work out, go down there and work out. And I used to lift weights. So, I go down there. There was not a plate that was under 400 pounds. Okay?
That's how he started.
Dude,
He started at 400 and he
it
worked
was
his way up.
that was the warm up.
Did I ever tell you that I worked at Jerry Philbin's goalpost?
No,
The Jets offensive lineman and all
Really?
pro Jerry. Dude, I never told you this.
no. Huh.
I worked as a waiter at Jerry Philbin's goalpost on Long Island as a kid
Oh wait,
in
you
high
did.
school.
You did tell me.
And
Yeah,
they
that's a
would
great
come
story.
in
Yeah.
Monday night after they
Yeah.
lost, and he would close the doors, just the Jets, and no customers. We had to work, and they would eat and drink and then destroy the place, smashing every single dish. And he allowed them to vent their losses, and we had to duck and cover as these incredibly large New York Jets destroyed Jerry Philbin's goalpost every other week that they lost, which wasn't that often. It wasn't
Yeah.
when they won. When they won, they just got drunk and left. But when
Yeah.
they lost, he allowed them to come in there and trash the entire place. And
Well,
you
he
needed
was
battle
he was on so many steroids. So his paychecks and his
you're talking about
old-
Gastineau now.
Yeah, his old
Yeah, yeah.
paychecks and his old all these left behind steroids were in this one bathroom area, right? So I opened the drawer one day and I see the check stubs. It's like, what he's making a week, I was making a year. And so, but every so often, and here I am, I'm sleeping in this guy's house, okay, at night.
That's scary.
And her daughter was little at the time. What's her name? Not Brandy, something like that. And I actually built her a bike for her. I remember that. But so every so often in the house, you're walking through this huge house, you'd see the door jams or the separator from room to room, and there were pieces missing from the door jams and from the room. And so I said to her, "What is going on with all the holes in the wall? Like, what's going on with these things missing, these door jams missing?" And that was Mark, getting pissed off, and he hit it. I said,
because
hit
he
it-
was on steroids, right?
right. He hit it with his hand and went through the. I'm talking about it's like going through a steel girder, okay? And so she said, yeah. So one night I'm laying in bed and I envisioned Mark doing that to me. And then next morning I
You
decided,
better get out.
I think this is the end of the relationship.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my dad though liked her, and one day he convinces her. to
Your
say-
dad liked everyone. There wasn't anyone your dad
My-
didn't
my
like who was a
dad-
woman.
My dad convinced me to take him out with
Of course he
Lisa
did.
on a double date. So Lisa
Oh
brings
my
a
God. Who goes on
girlfriend.
a double
No,
date
no.
with their dad?
I did. I went with my dad.
Right.
And what did my dad do after the date? Everything was great. We were all
He hooked
laughing.
up with her. He hooked up.
He goes down to the end of the block, walking in front of me and Lisa. And there's my dad calling a cab on the corner and sticks his tongue so far down this girl's
All right.
mouth.
Okay. This is a family
Okay.
show. I look. I just want to talk about your mother for a while because she.
Oh, well, speaking of,
Yeah, I want to switch from your debauched dad to your saintly mother. You
that was a
piece of
good
crap.
segue, by the way.
Yeah,
Very good
I'm
segue.
trying to segue out of
Nice,
that
nice.
and get into
Yeah.
your mom because I love your mom and
Yeah.
she always asks about me. And
She
there might
does.
be a photo. She keeps getting smaller every year, apparently.
She's even smaller now than that photo. That photo was a year ago. And
Okay.
she's now she's even a little lower.
How old is she here?
She was 90. She'll be 94 this September. She was 92 and a half there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Obviously, she sold the furniture, so you can't get it. But
Yes, yes,
where is
she
this? In
sold it.
Great Neck or something? Or
This is in Great Neck. Yeah.
oh my God! Wow, she
Yeah.
looks great, Steve. I don't know what.
Oh, no. Well, she's struggling right now. She's
Yeah.
but I'll tell you something. Physically, she's got issues, but mentally,
She's
sharp
sharp.
as a tack.
She's sharp, right?
Well, you remember my grandmother lived to 106.
Who,
You know?
dude? Who could forget? I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
yeah.
still haunted by it.
Yeah, May. Yeah.
She'd call me up at 94 talking
Yeah.
dirty. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
it's weird.
I had to listen to
Weird.
that. It was
Yeah,
traumatizing,
it
bro.
was weird. Well, it kept her alive.
It kept her alive, which you kept saying, keep talking to her,
Yeah,
keep
keep
talking to
talking.
her,
Yeah,
which I,
was-
did.
I,
But then she
I
sent
said
me
it was okay. Yeah,
I
said
know,
it was
but then
okay.
she sent me the photos. You didn't even
Yeah.
care about that. I didn't want to look at those photos.
What are all these things flipping? Oh, those are photos. I see. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
they're
cool.
just different
Yeah.
photos of stuff that you and
Let me
I
ask you.
have.
Let me ask you. I'm just curious because
Yeah.
maybe you're a person.
Oh, here
who's
she is
got-
again. When is
Oh,
this?
that's my grandmother.
Oh, that's
She's
your
like-
grandmother. Right, right.
That's my grandmother. She's my grandmother is about maybe she's like 95 or 98
Right.
there.
Wow.
Yeah, we had the 100th birthday party for her in Long Island, and then she lived another 6 years. So
Wow.
we threw the party thinking that was it, And then she
Right.
went for it. She told me, you know what she told me at the party? She
What?
said,
I'm good
she
for
told
another
me-
6 years.
No, she said before the party, she's like, I can't wait to get this over with. This is such stress. I've had such stress on me ever since I turned 95. It's like, will she hit 100? Will she hit 100? You know? Yeah,
Oh,
it's a lot of stress.
right. Was that the topic
Yeah.
of conversation or?
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
stressful. I mean,
And she was another one, sharp as a tack, right down to the last day. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Interesting. Let me ask
So you
a
got
question.
your daughters
Is anyone
are doing
listening to this show?
nobody. It's just me and you. Your daughters
That's
are
what I thought.
doing well. You just got back from Portland,
My
or
daughter's doing
somewhere. I don't know where.
Yeah,
one
Portland,
of them's.
Portland. I
Where's
was
the
chased out
other
of it.
one? Where's the two of them?
I have one here in LA who's a cosmetologist.
Tell me the names and how old they are because I
My
forget.
daughter Cara is
Oh.
gonna be. She's 29.
That's the hairdresser.
The hairdresser. She's.
Is she on the right?
She's on the right as you're looking.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
left.
yeah. That's Kara. Wow,
And
she's beautiful, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you. She's cleaning up. She's doing great. And then the other one is Lauren, or
Lauren,
we call her
right.
we call her Ren now.
Yeah.
And she
I remember
she's,
when they were little kids. I remember when
tiny
they were,
little babies. Yeah.
No, not
She's
that
a-
far, but I remember they were like
Well,
5
she's
and
a
10.
therapist. She's a therapist, you know.
Oh, she finally made it.
Yeah. Well, actually,
I
Mark,
could use some help.
I
I could
actually,
really
Mark,
use some help.
you don't realize, but you actually do know them. Since
I
the
inspired
baby.
them to get
You
into
do
these
know
careers.
since then because Kara was on the set of It Had to Be You, but when I did the Cottonwood with you, Tracy was pregnant with Kara, so you actually have known them their whole life, which
I've
is
known them their whole lives. I'm kidding.
which is why they had to go through a series of therapy. But it's
But they
okay.
came out stronger on the other side,
came out
which
much
is a
stronger
great
for having
segue
known.
into some super chats and some questions from the audience who have been
Yes.
listening to this drivel for an hour and a half now. They might have
Jesus.
some questions
Wow.
or some super chats or whatever the hell
I
goes on here.
apologize. I apologize.
No.
to them.
This thing's going off the rails. We got to
Oh.
rein it in by. Okay, here's something. Patrick Casey, $5. Oh no, I am late. I am such a fat bastard. Now, Patrick Carey knows that, and that is why he's donating the $5 to this show to keep his weight down. His weight. This guy, I try to talk to him. He doesn't stop eating. He's a fat bastard, but he loves the show. Thank you so much, by the way. All kidding.
Do I get 250 of that? Or-
You know who gets all of it is YouTube. So we do the best we can. This is
Oh,
Alicia Boggs. She's a big
Oh.
fan of the show.
Hi, Alicia.
Thank you so much, Alicia. But a lot of these people come from the other show who've now migrated over. Don't ever go back. Stay here. This is a new show. Subscribe if you can, because we're just getting started. And then I think I pushed the button so people can get membership. She loves it. She loves it. She loves Pat.
Hey,
The two of them hooked up, I think, in episode 2. Thank you. Wow, this is the moderator. This is a great show. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons, which is a great idea, because I don't know how this works, but I know if you get a lot of subscriptions, YouTube kind of gives you a trophy or a plaque once you get up there. So that's kind of helpful. Now, if anybody has any questions about show business or it's a great show, of course it is.
There you go.
Why
Look
not?
at that. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Of course it's a great show.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look at that. One of the first 200 subscribers. Look at that. That's great. Yeah. Very happy.
Let me see. What does
There
it
was
say?
You just missed it. It said
Who is
one of
this
the
guy?
first 200 subscribers.
Oh,
Yeah.
that guy. I'm sorry. I was looking down at somebody texted me.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Yourself you're talking about, Warren, or myself? I guess you missed the beginning of the show because you were drunk, which I told you is going to be a problem. And you black out always at the beginning of the show, which is
Actually, watching your show drunk might not be a bad idea.
I know, but this guy blacks out. That he misses the intro, and he comes in near the end saying, "Who is this guy?" It's just one of my friends. Heather, whatever, has been around. She has followed us since day 1 or day 100. I'm not really sure, somewhere in there.
That's awesome.
She's got a great sense of humor. She's put up with a lot of crazy crap since we started 4 years ago. How will AI impact me personally? Or how will Al impact you personally? Al Fresco probably won't impact me, but I don't know. I mean, I think maybe Steve can answer this, because I have a feeling that AI, the first impact will be TV commercials, that they'll make AI character, right, Steve?
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they can get rid of the residuals, get rid of the actors, do like kind of animated or not even animated commercials, test them, alter it, not reshoot, Steve, right? Those guys are done. Those commercial
But
guys.
here's the thing about AI though, like you know, I'm getting ready to direct this this documentary, right, in Federal Hill. And so to put together the presentation, the PowerPoint thing, somebody said to me, why don't you just use Chat GPT, you know, because you know, kind of speed things up. And then it gives you the whole AI thing. Well, let me tell you, it was helpful to a point, okay? Because I was curious. I have not used AI to this day until literally this past week. The problem is, it's very much like Google, right? In the beginning, we were feeding Google all the information. So 90% of the time, the Google wasn't right. It was wrong. It had to be corrected. And that's how eventually it got perfected. So AI is the same thing. There was a lot of mistakes in there. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time. I mean, we're not, you know, in our generation, Mark, we're not going to get replaced. But going forward, like kids, you know, girls that are my age or people that are my daughter's age, I think it's have a huge impact, you know.
I mean, if you could, thank you, Dog Nose, too. Dog Nose 1, who was, you know, his forerunner passed away, unfortunately. Dog Nose 2 has replaced him. Much better than the original $9.99 with a super sticker. Much obliged. The supporters of the show, I don't know why anybody watches anything that I do, but somehow your creativity says is awesome. I didn't do anything. I got friends who we drag on here. What do you see next week? Oh, that's going to be crazy. But each of these are just going to be friends of mine who obviously have made it far deeper into show business than I ever dreamed. So we can live vicariously through their success. And then I could say that I know so-and-so, and he did this for me, and he got me all the way up the ladder. And, you know,
there's two things, Mark, if it was okay, if I'd like to just bring up real quick. The show.
Right.
I'd like you to just say something about it.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, I don't need a response from you on this. I just want you to know, the audience to know, that years ago I asked you to watch my cat while I was out of town.
You know, that's not my fault. You got to let this go, bro. You really got to let it go.
And the cat never came back.
Right.
Okay?
I opened
That's
the
all.
door to
Had the
leave.
cat for 16
I'm not a cat
years.
person. I opened that door to
years.
leave, and that cat scurried out. Your wife still hates my guts, your ex-wife. So it's a statute of limitations. She's not even your wife anymore.
I just needed to say that. I promised I would mention it.
I tried to find the cat. There was nothing I could do, so I gave up. I was just house sitting. I didn't say I was in the cat preservation business.
Okay.
It was probably, here's Al Gonzalez. This guy, I don't know. This is a good guy from New York, great New York State.
Oh, Jackie the Joke Man. Actually, we had a mutual friend.
Stories,
I went to a mutual friend of mine, somebody, Gabe Abelson, who's a big comic writer and a comic himself. One of our mutual friend had passed away. And Jackie the Joke Man, we went to the church and they had a funeral, you know, the service. And Jackie the Joke Man was the guy doing the eulogy.
What?
And Jackie the Joke Man did the eulogy. And it was literally hysterical. I mean, every known New York comic was there.
Get out.
He literally killed. Dude,
Jackie could kill with those jokes.
We were crying. I never knew. You know what? I honestly never knew how funny he was, because within the context of Stern, he was like, you know, I mean, he was kind of playing in with Stern. But on his own, oh my God.
Let me tell you something. I used to go to the Friars Club and have lunch with Jackie.
I was a member there too. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Alan Wolfer, Alan up in Poughkeepsie, New York. $10 super stick. Yeah, Alan picks his
my
toes.
My sister went to school at Oakwood. She went to high school up there in Poughkeepsie. Yeah.
And he may be coming to Dallas, hopefully by train in December. Alan, thank you so much for that. Hold on. Excitedist for $5, getting up on the big board. Oh, look. The guy that knows everything about Leon Russell made it here. I don't know if that's you or me, but I'm a big fan of Leon Russell, but
me too,
I don't know if I know everything about it. Everybody loves Leon. Blitzen for $10 in the house, vicariously living through Mark, who is living vicariously through Steven and others. Here's the dog looking up at us, wondering how the hell we're on this show. I don't even know how we have a show.
My dog, by the way, is locked in a closet, so he won't bark.
You know what? I love that new dog. What's his name? Bruno?
Rocky.
Oh, Rocky. Bruno's dead, right?
Bruno's, he was stolen. Yeah.
Oh, which was the one that was stolen?
Bruno.
The Rottweiler.
The Bulldog. English Bulldog. No.
Oh,
Rocky, this is Rocky 2. Rocky 1 was the Rottweiler. Yeah.
Thank you. It's a little confusing. Okay, Robert Nisbet. Hold on.
What?
I have to
Okay.
read this, not you.
Oh, you have to read. Got it. Sorry.
Right. Question for Steve, please. What do you think of the trend of actors commenting on current affairs and telling people how to live?
I don't think it's good.
No, I don't think it's good.
And I think Jimmy Kimmel should decide that he's not too bright and should be talking about current affairs. I think that's why I stopped watching all the award shows. I can't do it anymore.
Well, let me ask something. The actors have handlers and or assistants, and it's almost like they live in a bubble, right, Steve? Some of these famous actors,
of course.
they don't really know what's going on. But you know who does tell them is the assistant.
Yeah,
I think it's really the assistant's point of view on anything. On anything.
They're feeding them. They're feeding them stuff, or a PR agent who leans too much to the left,
or right, or on COVID.
Right,
I think the masks for COVID came because the elite celebrities were afraid of their own help and told them to put on a mask because they were going into the outside world.
100%.
I think that's where it came from.
Said that. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Right. Because it kind of started in LA where the help, which goes shopping for them, has to come back into their own house. And I think they made them wear masks right out of the gate. Right out of the gate.
Mark, how many times even now, I see somebody driving in a car with a mask on by themselves.
Dude, a double mask by themselves with rolled up windows. How crazy is that, bro?
Listen, I got to tell you something. And knock wood, I'm a big believer in God. So, I'm grateful. But I have flown all over the world since COVID, during COVID.
Right. You fly all the time. I don't know how
all
you
the time. I've been to New York 9 times since September. Okay.
Right.
I've never gotten COVID.
Wait, is that Rocky?
That's Rocky in the background.
Where is he? Can you get him, or what's he?
Yeah, I'll get him. You want me to bring him?
Yeah, I like to see him. I want to say hello. He knows me.
He does get $9.99 for showing up.
Is he a super chatter? Can he throw down?
Let me see.
Rocky.
1 second. I'll get Rocky. I will say one thing. Every dog I've had loves Mark. I will say that.
I'm a dog person.
Mark,
I am such
Mark
a dog
is a dog.
person.
He's apparently not a cat person, but he is a dog person.
I hate cats. I hate cats.
Yeah. Well, you were evident when you got rid of mine. Yeah. Thank you. By the way, we never got to talk about how I got a free hat out of you for NYPD Scuba. But
dude, I forgot about that. Holy shit. That was Al Gonzalez would like this story.
And also the Richard Lewis lunch story for Last Man on Earth.
Oh my God, Richard. This might be for part 2, but where's the the dog? Get the dog
You want me to get the dog act?
Get the
that's
dog.
A sign. Okay, yeah, let me get the dog.
Get the dog. The people have to see this dog. He's so cute. Relatively new dog in Steven's life. He's always had these great dogs. He's had all different breeds. He had Rottweilers for a while.
Now this is Rocky. All right.
Look at this face, everyone.
Rocky.
Look at this face.
Say hello to everybody out there. Look, you're on TV.
Rocky.
That's Mark.
Rocky.
Don't lead back.
Come on, Rocky. Come on, boy.
Rocky, look. Oh yes.
Who loves you, Rocky?
Oh, there he goes. He's kissing my ear. You just knocked out my ear pod.
All right, throw him on the floor.
Yeah, get out of here. Okay, let me get my pod back in. Hold on.
Go ahead. I'll tell you the story. We try to put together a show.
He's trying to eat my pod.
Steve and I tried to put together a show called NYPD Scuba, and it was about these. And I told Al Gonzalez about this. Maybe Alan Wolford. We tried to put together a reality show, a real serious reality show about the guys who are NYPD Scuba. And it would be about their lives, how they rescue people in the waterways of New York City. And there's quite a few waterways around New York City, and people don't realize it, that NYPD Scuba also goes into the water towers on top of every building.
And Mark did a great job, like unbelievable research.
I just dedicated my life to this goddamn concept. And I made inroads. I started interviewing the guys on the crew. I started talking to the commanders and, worked my way up.
You had the letter from the commissioner of New York, the police department. What are you talking about?
The police department, commissioner, everybody was in on this thing. And I think what happened was there was a new mayor. I think.
Do we have the photograph of you and me in the car, or the video of you and me in the car, and we're talking about the show? Do we have that?
No,
remember
I don't
we
have
were in
that
the car in
today.
the parking lot. I
don't have that. No, I know what you're talking about. I don't have that here today. But the show got so far up the chute when the mayor, they switched mayors, and I think they switched police commissioners. And the guy said to me, "Who do you think you are? I've never heard of this thing in a million years." And we were into the shitter overnight, and the whole thing went into the toilet. And it was such a great show. It was such a fantastic
Oh,
idea.
Yeah, we did a great sizzle reel on it.
We had a
The whole
sizzle
thing.
reel. We had
Yeah,
boards.
yeah.
We had interviews with the scuba
But you know, we
guy.
had it done. We would have made it done. Remember, we went for that meeting at, I think it was like E1 or something like that. Remember, the two guys were sitting
Yeah.
across from these two knuckleheads.
Yeah.
And Mark had it all set up. We were going to go fly to New York. You even arranged we're going to go on one of their huge ships because they have like a fleet.
Yeah, one of their
Remember that?
speedboats or something.
Yeah,
They're going to take
yeah.
us out on a run and
Yep.
rescue somebody with them, hopefully. I
but
mean, they're the ones
these
that go in when
idiots-
an airplane goes into the Hudson River. I mean, it's just an
Yeah.
incredible, they're the best in the business, just an incredible
Yeah.
group. And
Yeah,
I did get some NYPD scuba hats. I think I might have given one to
Right.
Steve.
I got the hat. And
So
I
you got
and
you
I-
got a commemorative hat out of it.
I got a hat out of it, but Mark did a great job. He really did. He was amazing, and it was just at the last minute those two executives, which has happened before, decide that they should go in first to New York, and that was it. We knew it was over.
Oh, right.
That's right, buddy. You had it all figured out, and these knuckleheads decide that they think they should go in first. That's what it
Oh
was.
my
Yeah.
God, I
And
forgot
by the time,
about those.
and by the time
Let me
they
ask something.
delayed
Can I
it-
ask something
yeah,
off the cuff? Were they
you could
gay?
ask anything.
Were they gay?
Remember what happened? We were like, we walked in there like two guys, and
Right.
I mean, nothing against gay people, but I'm
No,
saying
not that there's anything
we-
wrong with that.
no, but we rubbed them the wrong way. We were a little bit
They
too.
did not like us. What they liked
No.
was I remember the
No.
guy saying, "I like men in rubber suits."
They
That
did
was a
say
giveaway. That was a giveaway. And
They did
when we
say
told
that.
them it was
Yeah.
scuba, they didn't seem concerned about that.
No, they actually liked it.
Yeah,
they actually
yeah,
liked
with
it.
masks.
But they
And
were-
I kept saying,
Yeah.
men in rubber suits with masks. And they said, say no more. Say no more.
They asked us about. I think they wanted to redesign the suits though, for the
Right.
entire NYPD, and that
But
wasn't.
we
gonna work.
didn't care. We just wanted to sell the project.
We
I
wanted to
didn't
sell the
think they
project.
were serious. I didn't even think they were serious.
Well, once we knew that they wanted to go in first,
Yeah.
we
that
knew
screwed the
it
whole
was
thing up.
over. It was
That's
it,
true.
it was over. It was over.
Now, what was the other
It
thing
over.
you were talking about that we did? The scuba thing was one thing.
Oh, the Richard Lewis project that we went to lunch in Sunset
What the hell was that?
Plaza.
Oh, The Last Man on Earth?
Last Man on Earth, your project.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Richard Lewis was my
Richard
last.
Lewis.
God rest
Yeah.
his soul. May
Yeah,
Richard
Richard Lewis.
Lewis's memory always
Yeah.
be for a blessing. Let me tell you something. This was the most
Yeah.
tortured, and
Yeah.
I was close with Richard, and
Very
Steve knew him.
close. Very close.
I was very close with Richard, and he,
Mhm.
as long as I knew him, he was a tortured soul.
Yeah. Well, we went to lunch. We had this big meeting set up at lunch to do the
We did?
project.
Right?
Yeah, we went in Sunset Plaza. It was all based on your script, and you had me come in, because I was probably going to direct it or something. And he took about. It may have been about 40. He was a few minutes late.
Yeah.
So then he explained why he was late. That took about 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
Then we went to order, and it was like, it must have been another 45 minutes just for him to get through the ordering process. And then we had about 20 minutes worth of conversation with him. And then he said, "Oh my God, it's getting late. I got to go." And yeah, that's what happened.
Okay,
Yeah.
this guy would take 50 equals, the packets, because
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't need sugar. And he would open up about 40 or 50 equals and put them on anything, a piece of pie, and
Yep.
he'd throw the packages, the empty packages of equal under the table. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, Richard, somebody's got to clean it up. Why are you doing that? He says, I don't want to have anybody see me opening up 50 packets of equal. Are you insane?
He also stole some of the packets and took them home.
No, that's what I did. You thought that
Oh, that
was
was
him,
you.
but that was me. I've
was you.
stolen equals everywhere I go. Okay,
Yeah.
Al Gonzalez. It's 3 a.m. in New York City, and hungry. Are you going to Wohop or Katz's? I mean, that's not even a question.
It's Cats is in a two.
Let me tell you something. Ratso, I used to go to Katz's with Ratso a lot, and they give you like a taste. You could go to the counter, right, Steve, and get a taste, like a
Yeah,
thin
yeah.
taste of something.
Yeah, yeah.
Ratso abused this so much that he was 86 from the place because he kept going up. Sometimes he'd wear disguises, he'd put his hat on backwards, and he'd just keep going up to get a taste from the meat counter. And
I used to go up there and say, "Can I taste the corned beef? Can I see?" how
right.
lean the
Well, it's a
pastrami is?"
tradition to do
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
Ratso abused it so bad that he was finally asked to leave Katz's Deli.
That
But
takes
yeah,
a
I
lot
would
to get
go
thrown
with
out.
Katz's. And by the way, in case you didn't know, on Hollywood Boulevard, There's a new bagel place called Butchick's, and I bought half a dozen the other day, and they're real. They're real
Real?
bagels. Yeah,
Really?
Yep. It's right next to Wacko's.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, on Hollywood Boulevard. That
On
little
Hollywood
strip.
Boulevard.
Yep. Place
Wow.
called Butchick's. Absolutely real.
Maybe if you go in, I can cover you like with a 38.
I'm going to go in. I'm going to get the bagels.
Cover a
The
darkness,
whitefish
yeah.
salad, forget about it. It was like $20 for a quarter of a gram. I mean, it
Mm.
was just an insane price, but the bagels were quite real.
You know, remember when we could get whitefish salad or like
Yep.
lox and bagels, and it was like,
H&H.
it was nothing.
It was
Just a couple
nothing.
of bucks.
It was a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
Now it's $800. Remember when Larry King opened up that bagel place in Beverly Hills and had
Yeah.
the water imported from
Yeah.
New York?
Yep. Larry King, by the way, in Larry King's book, there's a whole chapter about
Oh,
my
I forgot
dad.
about this.
Yeah, my dad and his luncheonette in Brooklyn, Bay Parkway, the feed box, Vader's feed box. Yeah.
Just so you know, both of our fathers had luncheonettes in Brooklyn. My father had one called the Three Brothers with his two brothers and him. Years before I knew Stephen and before I knew Rocky, they
That's Rocky in
both
the background.
separately had luncheonettes.
Yeah, we had luncheonettes, and and ironically, excuse me, Rocky, will you
What is he
shut
doing
the
over there?
fuck
What is
up?
he? What's going on?
There's a bone or a ball stuck under something, and he's really mentally handicapped. Okay, because it's easy for him to get to, but he wants me to go get it out of wherever it's stuck. This
Oh,
is a problem.
that's part of the game.
All day. This goes on all day.
Well,
Can't get
at that,
anything done.
we can only put up with that so long as an audience.
Maybe somebody could, maybe like your audience could start putting some numbers up to see if they want to buy Rocky. That would be good.
Well, look, no one's going to buy Rocky. I mean, I can't even get
No,
in there with Rocky. He's a good
It's just an
dog, but
idea. Yeah, he's got to go.
he's really got to go. I mean,
Well, he's a dog that was given to me by my girlfriend, who said we're going to share the dog. So
I don't
she
know how you
gets
share a dog.
she
I
gets
don't know.
she gets the front of the dog, and she's with the dog.
well, when you had the Rotties,
Yeah.
those were big dogs. I mean, I used
Two
to
Rotties,
house sit
yeah,
those
two
Rotties. I used to
Yeah,
house sit
they
them.
loved you. They actually
I
loved
love
you very
those.
much.
They had the biggest heads I've ever seen on a dog.
Yeah,
they
they
could
were
have
good
killed.
dogs.
They could have killed me at any time, but they licked me
Yeah.
to death.
Excuse me one second, because I'm
Yeah,
a
go
good
ahead.
dog owner. Rocky,
Yep.
shut the fuck up. Oh, I know what
my
it
God.
is. Hold
He
on a
has
second, I know what it
tiny
is.
arms. Give Rocky a break, said Alicia Boggs. Well, he's going to break his little arms now. I hate when he does this.
No, what it was is there were two little cookies.
Rocky is a
sitting-
Frenchie. What is he?
sitting
Dust
on-
Bunny wants to know what he is.
Now he wants to. He's a Frenchie. He's a
Oh
Frenchie.
yeah.
Yeah. So I just gave him what he wanted. That's why he was barking, because there were
What'd you
two
give him?
cookies.
Crack
on-
cocaine or something? Or,
Well, there were two cookies sitting on the counter, and he knew they were up there. He was yelling at me to go get the cookies.
wow. Did you ever go to Studio 54?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 2 years old at the time. Of course.
Yeah.
But,
No, I
No,
went a couple times.
I did too. Yeah.
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 I mean,
You know,
everybody went. I mean,
Everybody went.
Everybody went. Hello, Buckley. You know Ratso Rizzo. No, I know Ratso Ratso from National Lampoon. A different Ratso Sloman, who is his own pop culture hero. I mean, Ratso was named Ratso by Joan Baez on the Rolling Thunder tour, and he's got a great book on Houdini, a great book on Abby Hoffman. I mean, Ratso's a great writer. He used to be an editor of Rolling Stone, and still alive apparently. And a lot of these guys have long white beards now. You ever notice that? Like Rick Rubin, Ratso, Larry Charles.
But you know, Mark, you're still well preserved. You know, you don't look
Thank
your
you.
age.
No.
And you know, you've kept your spirit.
Yeah, I have the spirit. I watch my diet.
Yeah. Why are we
know,
still friends though?
I have no idea how that works. I
Just
have
kinda
no
wonder
idea.
about
Yeah,
that
this has been
sometimes,
very
yeah.
interesting. I probably see
Yeah.
in another year, maybe a little longer. I don't know.
Well, the only way I used to see you was if it was laundry day and you wanted a free pizza. That's what it was.
You know, remember you had that laundry right in your apartment?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that
because
was great.
That's
That
when you
was-
like to come over.
Yeah.
And you'd say, "Hey, maybe we can get a pizza. I'll do my laundry and watch the
I
Dodgers."
know that was great. And we
Yeah,
watched
that
a
was-
Dodger
that was-
game or a playoff game or
Yeah.
something, and
Yeah.
I did my laundry and had
Yeah.
pizza. That was like three things in one trip.
Yeah,
I like when
called
it's
a-
three things
It's called
in
a
one trip.
scam. It's called a
Yeah,
scam.
well, that's what you
Yeah.
say, but I mean,
No, I enjoyed your company, but it started getting on my nerves a little bit. Yeah.
well, this has been great. It's great to see you again.
Yeah.
I hope you had a good time.
Mhm.
I don't know what
was
else
great.
I can
That's-
tell you except
Mhm.
we have to order this incredible. This
Yeah.
is the stuff right here, biltong, from
Mhm.
Biltong USA. And the guy who put it together is an escaped South African who's come here with 5 children that he's homeschooling.
Yeah.
If he had this, let me tell you something. If he ever got the smell of this, he would go absolutely batshit crazy, because this is such pure meat. You know, it's like filet mignon of
Rocky
beef
loves
jerky.
meat. He's a big
Look at
beefer.
his face now. He sees the picture. I think
Oh,
he knows what this is.
Yeah.
Rocky,
He's not a
Rocky,
beaver.
can you smell it? Can you smell it,
Rocky?
Rocky?
What do you think? Rocky's like, you know what? Is that guy Mark who, you know, you told? Yes, that's him. That's the guy.
You know what? When I come over, I'm bringing a couple pieces of this thing just to see what he does.
Yeah.
I got a
that's
feeling
good.
he's going to go batshit crazy.
Yeah, that would be great.
You think
We'd
if
love-
you
we'd love to see
died, do you think he would eat you?
Well,
I mean, let's say you were dead for a number of days, God forbid. You're dead for, I say you're dead for 22 days, right? He's in there.
I think my girlfriend would drop over, take the dog, and leave me there.
Right.
Just leave me.
So
right
you're
there.
saying before he would eat you, she would come in and take him. But let's say she didn't exist.
Yeah.
It's you and Rocky. You're dead. Rocky's starving. He looks at you. I know he was my friend.
I don't think he'd eat me. I think he likes it. He likes, you know, he'd probably like Chinese. You know what I mean?
What are you saying? He's going to order it through to.
I don't think he would eat me. I think he's not first of all, he doesn't eat kosher. You know,
Right.
He doesn't like kosher food.
Right.
He's not really. He does like Italian. He likes a good pasta. Yeah. You know what? He might eat me. Yeah.
All right. Well, I got to
Yeah.
say goodbye to these people, so I got to get rid of you. I
Well,
don't
listen,
know how that
I
works.
just want to tell that you what an honor this was.
It's not even an honor. I don't even know what it is. It's not an
It's
interview.
not an honor. I was trying
you're
to
not
be nice.
promoting any. What are you?
No.
Do you have anything to
I am
plug?
promoting. I'm
What are
working.
you plugging? Plug something.
Okay. I'm putting together a documentary at Federal Hill that I'm doing.
Okay.
And I'm also working on an amazing mob story based on the true life of Johnny Coro.
Okay.
we're
Who's
putting
Johnny
together for
Coro?
a series.
He's a mobster.
Mob guy. His father was a big time with Carlo Gambino. It's
Right
a
on.
great story. I've been interviewing him for 2 years. It's
Okay.
going to be a phenomenal series. And
Right.
then we're putting together the movie Under the Influence, which you're aware of. We're going to do that dark crime drama.
Oh, I
supposed
like
to
Under
do
the
with-
Influence. I like
Yeah, I
that.
was supposed to do it with Ray Liotta, and then Ray passed. So I'm putting it back together now. Yeah. Yeah.
Ray
we're gonna do
Liotta,
that
who
movie.
famously played Shoeless Joe Jackson, batting from the right side of the plate,
Yeah.
and told me he
Yeah.
was haunted for the rest of his life because the stupid producers didn't tell him that Shoeless Joe was a lefty.
He was a lefty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Ray Liotta. Rest in
Ray-
peace, Ray
Ray-
Liotta. He was the sweetest
Oh,
guy, Stephen.
What an amazing guy.
Ray
What an
Liotta
amazing
was a
guy.
doll. Real
So yeah,
sweetheart.
so I'm going to do this in his honor. I'm doing this
Right.
project in his honor. Yeah. And I'd love to have you back, like as a
No, I'm
locations
sorry. It
manager
doesn't work. It's
or
not a two-way
stand-in
street. No,
or-
no, no.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you need something, you need a guy to come in and do something on the shoot. I don't shine shoes anymore, Joey, as you know.
Yeah, go get your shine box. No, I would love to work with you again. Not in any time soon, but
No.
Yeah, thank you so
If
much.
you're
for
going
having
out of
me
town,
on.
leave me the dog, and I'll see what I can do with it. I don't mind having the dog. Does he
that's
go
great.
outside for a walk?
Every day. He walks
Okay, so he
4
doesn't do
miles-
anything in the
4
house.
miles a day. Never.
Right.
Yeah.
Good boy. What a good boy.
He's a good.
Who's a good
Rocky.
boy?
Who's a good boy?
Who's
That's
a
the
good
guy.
boy?
See that? See
that?
Mark with the
Right
hat?
over here.
Yeah.
There's Uncle
Yeah.
Mark. That's
He's
it.
fed up.
All right, I'll talk to you later. I'm getting a
All right, listen, Mark, it's great. Don't take
Go
care.
ahead.
Bye,
Just pull
everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Stephen.
much. Thank
Everybody,
you.
let's
Thank
applaud
you.
Stephen. Let's give
Yeah.
him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
give
you,
him a round of
people.
applause. How do we get
Love-
rid of him? What button do we push? Oh, that's good. All right, so I don't know what that was. If you like it, subscribe. You want to throw down a super chat, or you want to do whatever you got to do. I don't really care. It's just fun talking to some old friends. Apparently, this is the only way to talk to them now is through YouTube, because I am too lazy to drive where this guy lives. So this may be the easiest way to see all my friends on this channel. Next week, we're going to have Stephen Gibb on, who is the son of Barry Gibb, founder of the Bee Gees, who was originally scheduled to be the first episode. And he's got crazier stories than Steve does in show business. Don't want to give it away, but at one point he had Michael Jackson as a babysitter, and not that anything went wrong because he was, Barry Gibb's son, but he also had, I think he had Michael Jackson's double as a babysitter. They traded. Michael Jackson did have doubles, by the way, in case people think that's a bullshit story. He did have doubles. In fact, one of his doubles opened a record store one time, Steve told me. So next week, Steve Gibb, he's been in a bunch of great bands himself, great musician, playing with his father now, the founder of the Bee Gees, Barry Gibb, one of the greatest songwriters in American history, but he's actually British. I think he's both. And I think Steve is both too. I think he's British American. But and then after that, I forget. I think at some point Dr. Drew's coming in, and then I've got some other crazy friends, mostly from show business. And then we'll get into some other crap. I don't know where this channel's going, but it seems like fun. It seems like something to do. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. Western. And we'll just keep interviewing or having conversations. These aren't really interviews of people that I know who are in show business that nobody's ever heard of. That's really what I want to do. I got this guy, Phil McGrade, coming on. He's Scottish, and he's a comedy writer for a bunch of different people. And these people have weird stories. So I thought, why not make a channel? Because these people are here and they're friends of mine. And I thought it might be fun for people to really hear what it's like to be in the mid-level of show business, people who really do it for a living, and understand what that world is like. So hopefully you got some flavor out of this interview. I know we started off with Eric and then went to Viva, but after this, I think we're going to, do a lot of people who are in show business who are friends, and then I'll do some solo crap. We're going to deep dive into some pop culture guys that I haven't had a chance to do on the other channel. So that'll be fun. So who knows if this takes off. If not, it's still kind of fun. It doesn't hurt anybody. So, all right. So I'm going to get out of here myself. What is it? It's a good run. It's a little bit after 5. So if anybody has any final things, now's the time to say something before. What are the most important somethings or others? Love it. Great show. Great show. Mark is going to have some fun. We're coming climb. Sounds great. Hit the button, guys. Yeah, just tell your friends to subscribe or send them a link. And then I'll see you guys on Friday for America's Untold Stories with Eric. And then back on Tuesday, we may have some guests on Tuesday, and then back here next Wednesday. So until then, I'm going to go to what they call the bathroom. Okay. Remember, get this biltong. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. Get this biltong. Mark G is the secret code. Okay, see you later.